3, 2, 1. Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome to episode 265 of the KBMOD podcast. It is February 12th, 2017, and that voice crack at the beginning was totally free. You guys don't have to pay for that. I don't know what that was. I said KBMOD podcast, but
you always have a funny inflection on the.
There's always an inflection, but I feel like it doesn't always. My voice doesn't always crack though. Sometimes. But
I feel like you always the one thing that I always find interesting is you say 265, and you're like it's like you're surprised at the second digit there.
It is, yeah. Usually I'm expecting like 201 or 222, but the 5 and the 6s really they got me flummoxed, dude.
I want someone to make a little compilation of just you. Saying the podcast numbers, just like so, it's basically just you counting upward to 265, which is what we're at now. That's what I want.
Ooh, that's a good idea. That would be good. So yeah, we weren't here last week as it was the Super Bowl week, and what a Super Bowl it was, I must say.
Yeah, I was going to say actually, it was maybe a good thing that we skipped because I feel like even people that weren't into football, could have found something to enjoy about the Super Bowl last weekend.
Absolutely.
Appreciate the choke of a lifetime.
Yes, for all the Atlanta fans out there, my condolences. And you know what? As much as I like to hate on the Patriots like everybody else and Tom Brady for the success and whatever else, there wasn't anything I could come away with at the end of that game except to say that was fucking crazy, crazy good. So this isn't a sports podcast, so we won't have to go too deep into it. But really, though, historic in all counts, like you said, the biggest lead blown ever by any team in the Super Bowl, the greatest comeback ever, first overtime, lots of firsts, Super Bowls.
Can we talk real quick about the overtime rules
in
the
yes.
NFL?
Okay.
That
sure.
like I'm sort of glad that it came down the way that it did.
Why don't we explain what happened in the game and then...
Are you implying that our audience, just because they listened about video games, Brad, has no idea what happened?
Are you implying that the year's biggest media event that someone might not know about it?
No way.
You think that's the year's biggest media event?
It is.
I'll just have you January 20th, excuse me.
All right.
Oh, that's right. That was that. I remember that because that was
still
the
an
inauguration.
I think the Super Bowl tends to make its way around the world in terms of news coverage.
They did say that the Super Bowl paled in ratings-wise to the Trump inauguration. You're right, though. So I'll have to. All right. Sorry to our Lord and Savior Trump. Okay. So the second biggest media event, the Super Bowl.
So the Falcons were leading by what? It was like 25 points or something.
Yeah. At one point, it was 25.
At one point in the game, and then the Patriots came back mostly in the fourth quarter to tie the game. At the end, and the game went into overtime, and it was the first overtime game. It was the first Super Bowl that has ever gone into overtime. And the way that the NFL's overtime rules work in the playoffs and for the Super Bowl, and maybe in the regular season they're slightly different. I can't remember. That's like they're complicated. But the way the rules work are they flip a coin to start overtime, and the first team to score a touchdown just wins.
Right.
Or if the first team that has the ball scores a field goal, then the other team gets a chance to respond. But if they score, if the first team scores a touchdown, they literally just win. So the game basically comes down to a coin flip, right? Because you have this massive advantage if you get to be on offense first.
I mean, yeah, but there's still a chance for a defensive stop. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't. Yes, you have an advantage, but
you fundamentally have an advantage going. There would never ever be a chance where you would pick to go on defense first.
No, you're right.
That's what I mean.
You would always pick to get the ball. Yeah, you're right.
Whereas like at the start of the game, right, the coin flip there are a lot of reasons you might not want to take the ball first in the game. Like there's some strategy around whether you choose to receive or
if you
defer.
Want the ball at halftime or whatever, depending on.
Whereas for overtime, there's literally no choice except taking the ball. You would always take the ball if you won the coin flip, which I think just seems silly for like the most important game in professional football. That's what it would come down to.
How does college ball work? Because I've heard a lot of people say that
It's a good question.
like
I forget how
upset.
college works.
Yeah, 'cause some people are saying like, oh, I really wish they did it like college did, but I don't know. I don't keep up with it to know how they. Do you not know, Brenton?
I
Yes.
see. Here's the thing.
Okay,
is,
here it is.
Yeah.
I'll read it to you. So in college football, it's each team, in the event of a tie at the end of regulation, each team gets one possession starting on the opposing club's 25-yard line. After each possession is over, the team with the most points wins the game. So basically, each team gets a shot to score.
Yeah, and if
essentially.
they
And if they get stopped, then it's over.
and if they stay tied, they play another. But then
Yes.
starting in the third period, so if they continue to be tied, the third period they can't kick extra points anymore, and they have to go for 2. So like that's where it starts to at some point you're gonna pick a winner because you have to go for 2.
See, I do like that better actually.
Yeah. And I agree. I think that would be probably better overall. I mean, yeah, again, though, like if you're the Falcons, you kind of put yourself in that whole situation by blowing a 25-point lead. Obviously,
yeah,
the
of course. But
well.
I mean, even if you take that circumstance away, like let's say it had been a close game all game, and then that's what it comes down to is like overtime, and they happen to get a big run or something and score the first one. It sucks that sort of undermines what would otherwise be a really great game.
Also, after 2 OTs, teams need to go for 2 in college football. That's interesting too. I didn't know that. Just start going for 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, dude. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, it was a crazy Super Bowl. So anyway, I think like you said, I think it was. If there's any, like I can't remember another. I mean, I'm trying to think in recent memory. Like
in recent memory, I feel like there have been some pretty boring Super Bowls. This one was definitely the most exciting one in a while.
Yeah, this one's been solid. So. Yeah, so we are back though after that hiatus. What happened? What's been going on with you guys? Anything exciting? Katie, I have to ask. Any action on the old? Okay, well, judging from that, no, not okay. I didn't know if you took Hardballer's profile advice.
I did, but unfortunately, I think there's an issue with the pictures I'm using.
Oh, no bites then or something? Or
no bites. Although that is. I think I'm gonna rock that profile like paragraph a bit more because that's just God. That's just God tier.
Okay, well, that's good. Don't give up hope.
Oh, I won't. Other than that, I went bowling. Had a pretty relatively successful night.
Did you really?
Bowling.
What did you score?
Did you guys hang yourselves after? Or? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
I think that's a Jim Gaffigan joke where he goes, we could go bowling or we could hang ourselves when trying to figure out stuff to do on a Friday night. Bowling's not that bad. Bowling's fun.
What did I gotta ask, Katie? What did you score?
What'd you bowl?
First game was a 90. The second game was a 100.
Okay.
I
actually bowled this week too.
Okay.
Believe it.
Random with his 190 or 250.
Just whip it out, dude. Just whip it out.
Just say your score.
No, it wasn't that good. But I did bowl. I bowled a 152, which I think is the best I've ever bowled.
It's a pretty good game.
Pretty good.
Yeah. So I was pretty happy with that.
It's not bad.
Now, the person I was playing with a bunch of people from work, so it was my boss that we're playing against, and I had a pretty consistent lead over him all game. And then at frame 8, he starts, as soon as I go to throw the ball, starts going, David, there's a cat. Watch out, David, watch. And he does that every single time. And I do not have nerves of steel. And was losing focus. And then all of a sudden, started getting a couple gutter balls. Getting thrown off a little bit.
That's all it takes that's all it takes to turn you from a 100 player into gutter balls?
It was so loud, and there were multiple people doing it. And it, like, as he's doing it, I'm thinking, you know what, this isn't gonna faze me. This is just gonna be, but I don't know what it was. I just lost all focus, and then he comes back, gets a 110, beats me by 10 points, and I was pissed.
So did that mean you have to work this whole week without pay or something? Was there anything on the line, or are you good?
Yeah, no, nothing like that. No high stakes or anything like that.
That's good.
It's good.
It actually seemed like pretty low stakes.
Yeah. Working for a week, not getting paid? I don't know. That would suck.
I mean, he already
Have your
volunteers
boss
his
do that.
time at Family Video. Can it get better than that?
God damn it! I knew, Katie. I know. Every time we talk, that the Brad will always make a Family Video joke. I
It
try
always
not
comes
to.
up.
I try not to set him up, but he doesn't even need to be set up clearly anymore.
Sorry. Just I
Um,
see it and I take it.
Yeah, I know. You're just like Donald Trump. You see it and you grab it. Actually, Brad. When
Wow.
it comes to Family Video, but
The one
well, that's
thing.
good.
Does anyone else when they bowl, like, so I bowled 2 games, right, and that's not that much bowling, right? 20 frames of
Yeah.
bowling, but my
Mhm.
like afterward, my thumb just hurts so much,
Mm.
like this muscle in your thumb that you never use except when you bowl. Does anyone else get that? Because like I don't know how people
You need to
actually
go up a
bowl.
size, dude.
Huh?
Yeah, maybe you're using a ball
You need
too
to go
small
to
or something.
you need to
No,
go
no,
up
no,
a
no.
size.
No,
you do.
definitely not. Like that's I know that makes it hurt when you use a ball that's too, it's too small for your hands or whatever. But every time this muscle in my thumb hurts, and I don't know how people would, like, I don't think I could physically bowl, every week or like twice a week or something, because it just it hurts my thumb for a day or two after.
That's it. I don't think I get that because I bowled.
Yeah, you're
super
not supposed to
recently.
use your thumb, I don't think. Like, I don't know.
I'm
Maybe it's
not.
the way you're
I'm
holding it.
bowling.
Happens.
Maybe it is the way I'm holding it, but like I mean, I
Maybe you're holding
bowl
the ball a
the
weird
way I bowl looks normal to me. Like I'm still, I'm not. I don't have some crazy form.
We're gonna get a video of Brandon and he's doing like 4 360s and then jumping into the air before he releases. He's like, "It's normal to me." I'm like, Brandon, you're doing
The
pirouettes.
title's
Lifts
like
its leg out.
how to ski.
I don't know. It's possible that maybe I'm using my thumb too much, like that I don't need to use my thumb as much for control or something. But I definitely don't bowl like professionals where they they do like the spin, the little bit of spin
Oh
on
yeah.
it. Mine has no spin, but it's still I don't know. I don't really love bowling, but I've always, like, every time I've gone, I get that same pain in my thumb that I'm like, I don't know how people would deal with that if you bowled all the time.
Yeah, it might either be like the ball you're using or the way you bowl, because like I bowl and sometimes I'll get like thumb pain after the second game, and then sometimes it might be like I don't have my own ball or anything. I always just use whatever ball I have there,
Well, of
or they
course.
have it.
I
Yeah.
feel like there's a pretty high bar to bowling and then having your own ball. That's
I have a couple friends that do, and they do pretty well. When you get it custom made for your hand.
I mean, I would hope so.
It's a luxury.
If you own a bowling ball, I feel like you better be scoring really well.
Yeah, yeah.
You
The friend I was
can't
with
say you
that,
own you can't say you own a bowling ball and be like, "Oh yeah, I bowled like 100, a 110."
God, I just like
I
I know
got a 150. That's what they got.
Yeah.
Okay. I
It's
mean,
a
that's
bit
not
on the
bad.
edge.
That was I think I told this story last time I bowled, which was a couple months ago, but when me and my girlfriend went like on I think it was like a weekday, like during the afternoon, and there was this guy that came in and he was like way too into bowling. He had a bag with like 3 balls and he was like talking to the front desk, and every time like he would like I could tell he was trying to draw attention to how good he was at bowling. And I don't know why, like, not that I'm not like, I just don't think bowling's a skill. Like if you hear somebody's a good bowler, does that do anything? Like it's not a negative, but it doesn't for me like
Are
propel
you
that
implying
person.
that good bowling is not exactly like an attractive quality to you?
It's not even not even attractive, just that it just doesn't move the needle for me at all. Like it's like, yeah, cool, dude. You bowl like in the upper 200s, or you've had a perfect game. That's a little different because that's pretty crazy. I'd actually know a couple people that have bowled perfect games, but they're like joined bowling clubs. But even to say bowling club, I feel like I'm saying it and it's like dribbling out of my mouth like sarcasm. And I don't know why. Why does bowling get such a bad rap? I know mentally, I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to work it out for myself. But yeah,
I think
maybe
maybe it's
what it
because
used to be.
it's like it doesn't take it's not like you have to be in some sort of physical shape to be good at bowling or anything.
Yeah, I
Like,
guess so.
You don't there's not really a ton of like physical prowess on display. It's more just the muscle memory. So maybe that's it. Maybe you just in your mind you just naturally don't respect people who think bowling is like a show of skill.
I mean,
Yeah.
where else can you go that blasts 2000s like
That's true.
hip hop, smells like stinky feet, has a bunch of old overweight white men, and then like sells like $7 PBRs. Like,
Yeah,
where
exactly.
else are you
$7
gonna get
Which
these?
bowling halls are you going to that are filled with old, overweight white men? I don't think I've
think
ever
Every
seen-
single bowling
Oh.
alley I've ever been to, that's all that really bowls anymore.
I don't think I've ever. I'm
think-
being really honest.
Okay,
I don't
Mr.
know.
Silicon
I don't know
Valley,
that I've ever
right? Well, like,
seen like a
chill out,
bowling
like-
alley that's just old white men in a lane. It's like every single time I go, you see either like college kids or like super young kids at a birthday party.
Mm,
Maybe I'm just not going on the right nights. I don't know. Maybe, you know.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of. I think there's still a lot of young people that bowl.
oh, there's no doubt about it. Yeah, but
Be a cheap, date or whatever. But there's something fun to do. Especially, dude, you know who loves bowling? Christian youth groups from churches. They love going bowling.
Like the most wholesome activity you can do.
It's like so wholesome. That and like rollerblading or just going to the roller rink.
yeah, sticking your thumb in tight places, pretty nice.
Oh yeah.
It brings me back to my Christian childhood, events. Yeah.
Absolutely, dude. Love to pop.
But
my
I mean,
thumb in there.
even at the roller rink, a skirt might blow up or something.
That's true. That's true. Bowling was generally pretty. Yeah, it's like you can't really go anywhere. Like
And
everyone's in view
everyone's
the whole
wearing
time.
unflattering shoes. So
Yeah,
like, there's
so there's
nothing funny gonna happen at the bowling alley.
no chance to stumble.
No.
Yeah, mini golfing's also a really good activity for groups like that. I can
Gonna
tell
have
you,
2
lots
lanes.
of courtships were had on the bowling lanes and mini golf courses of all around the world when it comes to Christian youth groups, dude. Because you court, you don't date, so you get to know each other in a group. So the temptation's not there to just fuck the shit out of each other. But let me tell you, it'll happen.
That's-
2 lanes, one for boys, one for girls.
Exactly.
Yeah, you just take it out on the balls.
Exactly, dude. You just if you lube it up, you can fit it. You can fit. Trust me, you can fit a lot of things into a bowling ball hole. You just got to find a big enough thumb.
Jesus.
They make them.
You know when
Okay,
when it
this is going.
pops, like it gives a little pop when you like let go of the ball, that your thumb fits just right.
Oh,
Jesus. It's good practice for later in life when you're thumbing an asshole. All right, we're done. Okay, so
Oh, is that what it's good practice
we
for?
move on.
all right, let's move on from I don't know. Sorry, Katie, you started the bowling thing. Now we really got off track.
I didn't start thumbing assholes.
I mean, you're only one
Yeah.
step removed.
Honestly, though, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good practice. All right, so you went bowling. All right, what else happened? I know Brandon, you went on vacation or something, right? Weren't you?
I was in Lake Tahoe for a couple days.
That's-
We went to Lake Tahoe for the weekend. Last weekend. And that was fun. Except Lake Tahoe they've gotten a whole bunch of snow, and so we had to go through the whole like putting chains on the car ordeal, which is truly just the worst thing. There's no worse thing driving than having to like put chains on and then drive with chains, because you can go a maximum of like maybe 30 miles an hour. And so it took us probably like
You say
10
that.
hours. 10 hours
Oh.
to go to Lake Tahoe from the Bay Area, which normally should be like a 3-hour drive.
That's
Don't you own a Jeep?
Yeah, but our Jeep is 2-wheel drive. Like it's a Jeep Cherokee, so
Oh,
it's not a
useless Jeep then. But
Well,
okay.
here's the thing. I know that like I like having a 4-wheel drive vehicle, but you sacrifice so much. Like you sacrifice fuel mileage, it's a lot more expensive. I was like, we have no reason aside from occasionally going to Lake Tahoe.
when you go to Lake Tahoe, right? Yeah.
But even
You don't buy a
actually-
Jeep for fuel economy though.
I mean, that's true. But look, I was trying to make a smart choice, and it felt smarter to do the thing that like we care about every day. And actually like I think sometimes they actually require you to have chains even if you have 4-wheel drive if you don't have the right type of tires. So I don't even know
Great.
if that would have helped. But anyway, so we put the chains on. We once we almost get there, right? And we take the chains off. We're like in the Lake Tahoe area, and we're driving to where we're staying. And where we're staying is like kind of up a hill, because it's fairly hilly there, obviously, with mountains and such. So we go up, and we're literally on the drive to like the sort of not the driveway, but the street where we're about to turn off onto the driveway. We're going up, and we get stuck. on the
God.
drive, like I can basically, it's nighttime, but I could like basically see where we're staying. We were 100 yards away, and we got stuck going up this street. And I thought, like, what are we gonna do? Like, I don't. You can't really put on chains when you're stationary because you have to kind of like drive onto the chains. And so if you're already stuck, you can't like just put on chains when you're stuck. And I was like, I don't know what we're gonna do here. So we ended up, luckily, we were sort of like stuck in this in sort of an area where we could like kind of turn around if we could, if we could get there. So I just turned the wheel, and it's front wheel drive. Turn the wheel and just like try and gun it. And the traction control's going off. Like we're making a little bit of progress, and we ended up being able to just like turn around and then like sort of glide back down the hill. But man,
yeah.
no, we didn't end up needing the chain, so I ended up taking another run at it, and I just like I basically didn't slow down again.
Gunned it up. Yeah.
And so we ended up we gunned it upward. Didn't get stuck that time, but we had to go past the driveway and come at it from from a downward slope because the driveway was a little bit up, like an upward angle too. So it was just a mess. It was really a mess. I could, as much as I don't need a 4-wheel drive vehicle 364 days out of the year. That one experience, like when you're in that moment, I'd be like, yeah, you know what? I should have spent like $3,000 more on 4-wheel drive. Like, why did I do that? That was stupid. But anyway, we had a nice weekend aside from that drive.
Yeah.
So
Tahoe drift. Yes, indeed.
That's what it felt like. But it's not a fun time when it's happening to you at like 12:30 at night.
No. Dude, you just saying a 3-hour drive turning into a 10-hour affair, that actually made.
And that's not unusual. That's the thing, like that you have to be prepared for that because whenever they're getting snow, you basically have to drive through. Like you have to drive through some of the worst of it to get to Tahoe.
Yeah.
A lot of times Tahoe is fine, but there's like a little 15-mile stretch or whatever before you get to Tahoe that is through the mountains and stuff. And when it's not snowing, like when it's not snowing all over, and storming or whatever, it's a beautiful, beautiful drive. It is one of the most beautiful drives there is when it's clear. But man, when it's snowy, it's awful. So,
damn.
Yeah, that was our last weekend. But we had a fun weekend aside from the drive.
Good. Okay. All right. What about you, Bradley? Anything exciting?
Getting snowed in, getting iced over. I mean, it's just I've been stuck in this hell, dude.
Eating Doritos on the couch still, or
no? I actually loaded up on some battery banks.
Oh, did you? That's smart.
Yeah.
You've been.
No, for real though. It seems like I haven't had a normal week as far as weather goes. So I've been either working at home or working with no power. Or like the other day, I literally had to take like a hammer to my car to get 4 inches of ice off of it. Like I've never seen that much ice on anything before.
That's crazy.
But yeah, so it was pretty nutty. Like power lines down everywhere and stuff like that. So other than that, I haven't been doing anything too crazy. I'm leaving my job at the end of the month.
Okay.
And then
for another thing, or just
I got some other stuff in the works.
Is this some spicy gossip that we're?
Yeah.
Is this an exclusive on the KBMOD podcast?
No gossip. I'm just I'm just leaving to do my own thing. I'll just leave it at that. But so I am starting my own channel. But I don't plan on doing anything for a while. But yeah, I have some other stuff in the works. I'm kind of waiting to hear back. But yeah, I leave that at the end of the month, so I've been wrapping that up. Yeah.
Spoken like a true PR person for yourself. I like it.
I like kind of the vague hints, except
just vague enough.
You haven't told us anything about where to find you. I feel like you're missing a promotional opportunity.
Well, if you guys want to find my YouTube channel,
there it is.
You can go to YouTube and search Hutchison15, and you can. I should be one of the first results, but yeah.
All right.
GTCHISON 15.
All right. And then as far as me, nothing too crazy other than the fact that all sham no wow, aka Mr. Marc Rabin himself, has moved into his new place from California over the past, over the past 2 weeks since we didn't have a podcast last week. So helped him get moved in about a week and a half ago. And yeah, it's great. It's great having him around. And this is his first experience on the East Coast. So I feel like there's a certain amount of pressure to apologize for the aggressive driving and general demeanor of people on the East Coast who just don't give a fuck. And but no, he likes the area and stuff, and so it's good to have Sham around.
How's he liking the cold weather?
He's I don't know. He got excited. It snowed here recently because we've had a pretty light winter, and he was so excited. He sent me a picture of him and Allison out in the snow at like 8:30 in the morning. He was like, I was a kid at like a kid on a snow day for school. So I think they're digging it. He didn't have a ice scraper though or anything because when they moved from California. So one of the days I went and had to get him out of basically get the ice off of his car so he could go go somewhere. So since then he's ordered one, but no, it's been good. It's been good having them around. And I don't know. Other than that. Okay. We should talk about this real quick. This is Brad, I know you've tried it, but the Taco Bell. This is in regards to also the Twitter question that we asked, but the deep fried chicken shell or whatever. What are they calling it? It's the
naked chalupa.
The naked chalupa. And I know I tried it, and you said you've tried it, right?
Yep.
Is it at all Taco Bells?
Yeah, I think so now. At this
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try it. I have a Taco Bell near me.
What was your take on it? Because we were talking about it in the pre-show a bit, but
I actually didn't think it was that outlandish. I thought it tasted pretty good actually, as far as like Taco Bell things go.
I agree. I didn't really have high expectations, and I thought for what it was, I enjoyed it. I wasn't offended by it. It was pretty tasty. It wasn't super greasy either. That was also what I was concerned about. That it was going to be like dripping with grease, but
mine was actually decent. Now I did hear like a little life hack. Like somebody said, have them add like nacho cheese inside. And that is supposed to be the shit then. But yeah, I don't know. It was I was driving through this town. I had an interview and I was on my way home and saw Taco Bell. I don't have one here, so I was like, fuck, I have to try it.
I gotta
like
do
that's the thing now with Taco Bell. It's like their shit is so stupid that you just like have to try it just to be like, I did it.
They're
and I don't know. It wasn't as I had no expectations. Like I hadn't heard
I don't think it's
else trying it yet. So I don't know.
Yeah,
it's pretty interesting. I'd probably actually get it again, to be honest.
I think it would be a repeat thing. It wasn't something that I was like, man, if they ever get rid of this, I'll riot though.
Yeah.
Like
same.
some of the other things, like
I wasn't like, man, where has this been my whole life? It could have been just like normal chicken and a fucking chalupa.
Right.
Can we back up a second? Is there anything on Taco Bell's menu that would cause you to riot if it were removed?
Yes. And they've already done it. They what was it? They did the Dorito, like they had this thing for $1, and it was You remember those? It was
the spicy Frito burritos, right?
No, I'm not. Those are great though too. Do they still have those?
Yeah,
Shit,
not the spicy ones. Not the spicy ones.
What's the difference between a spicy Frito burrito and a regular one?
Hold on.
The Fritos aren't spicy.
Oh, you mean it's with the chili cheese Fritos? Okay.
Yeah.
It was like a Dorito branded thing, but it was like oh man.
Like the taco shells?
No, it wasn't a taco shell. No, it wasn't a taco shell. It was like, oh man, I can't even describe it, but it was like flat. It was kind of like eating almost like a quesadilla, but it was in a triangle shape.
The Crunch Wraps.
No, it's not a Crunch Wrap.
That's literally that is the Crunch Wrap, definitely.
Was it though? Hold on. No, it was the promotional thing. It was like $1, man.
Do they still have it and it's just not $1, or do they not have it anymore?
No, they don't have it anymore. They don't run it anymore. Yeah, no, it's gone. See, and like this is what happens though, because it like changed my life, and I can't remember what it was, but I'm mad. The nacho thing. See, people in chat know. Yeah, it was fucking incredible. It was like $1, and it was like, so it was like nachos inside of a tortilla, which sounds stupid, but it had crunchy, it was texture, it had like a cheese sauce. See, people in chat are coming alive.
The grilled stuffed nacho.
The grilled stuffed nacho. Thank you, dude. Okay, I'm not even kidding. I already can tell from chat that people
googling discontinued menu items for
the grill stuffed nacho. It shouldn't be as good as it was, but it was cheap and it was fantastic. It was basically a triangle crunch wrap, yeah. But obviously they branded it with Doritos. But
I was gonna say, okay, that looks
good.
You said like triangle, and I was thinking the crunch wrap is made up of triangles, but it's like an actual triangle.
Yeah, it didn't have the exact same thing as a normal.
Okay, I mean that looks pretty good. Yeah, I would get that.
Though the thing was, you could tell if the person like making this just hated their fucking life by like how they folded these things. Sometimes I've gotten one of those, and it was like, oh, half the stuff is falling out of the bag.
Right. Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I mean,
that's
Scott,
probably
there is a change.org petition with 56 supporters. So
56. I thought you were gonna say 56,000 because I thought people cared, dude.
If you want to hop on that train, you could be number 57.
Wow, I'm gonna have to get on that train. But man, that makes me sad now thinking about that. I feel like they were gone for a while, and then they came back at one point at my area in California, and then I never saw them again. So, but yeah, go ahead and link that, and I'll definitely support. All right, but what have we been playing this week? Let's start with you, Katie. What do you got in the old chamber or on the old cue card?
I'm still chipping away at Skyward Sword and Persona 4. Just kind of going back and forth between those two, so nothing too much. Although I will say the area I'm at right now in Skyward Sword is probably what I hear is like the best one of the game. It's the one where you mess with like going in between like different points in time, and that's pretty neat. But the main thing I've been dedicating a lot of my time to is it's a game called Drakengard 3, and if you're not familiar, it's the most recent game of the series, the same one that Nier Automata, a game that I'm very excited for. It comes out like early March. It's like part of the Drakengard series. And this is the last one of that series. And Nier is kind of like a spin-off of that. So it's the only game in the series I haven't played. So it's figured I'll just go through that. And before I started, I was looking at some reviews. IGN gave it a 4.8 out of 10.
Ooh.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I bet that 0.2 would have been nice.
Yeah. Would have made some sales. No, but the main thing I took that was the takeaway from that review, from what I read. I mean, I disagreed with a lot of stuff, but they said it's a mess of a game that will disappoint fans of Drakengard and Nier. And right now, I'd say I'm maybe 15, 20 hours into the game, and I really couldn't agree more. Like, I'm really enjoying this game. Like, it's got really basic. It's kind of like an action.
You couldn't
RPG.
disagree more. You couldn't agree more.
I couldn't disagree more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it's an action game. It's very, very unpolished. That frame rate struggles to stay at 30, and plenty of times it's dipped down to 4 FPS for several seconds.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there are areas where the characters are just, floating above the ground. You can see their shadows aren't connected to their feet. And the game opens with the Unreal 3 splash screen, and I just laugh my ass off. Like, it doesn't look like a game in Unreal. But, and the combat in the game, it's like the most simple thing ever, but it's got this thing where pretty much like one of the best things going forward is this kind of, it's called Intoner mode, where when you power up, you basically are like powered for a few seconds and you do more damage. And the music, it does this change where it adds vocals to the music. And this game has one of the best soundtracks of any game I've ever played, honestly. Like, it's so goddamn good. And when it adds like vocals to the track that's playing, it's just orgasmic. And like in these moments, the game is like really, really good, but there's a lot of tedious grinding. And like the main thing keeping me to this game is like the story.
Mhm.
But right, so basically after you beat, and this isn't really a spoiler, like every game in the series does this. After you beat the game, it starts telling you about like different branches that the story could have gone, and so you play kind of through multiple endings. And the point I'm at now, it says branch D unlocked, the final recording. If you want to play this, you need to unlock every single weapon in the game. So right now, I have to look up the guide and replay levels to find weapons I missed. I have to grind hundreds of thousands of gold to buy weapons. So so it
Sounds
might
like
take hours.
yeah. Sounds.
But
So what would you? So you're saying that you don't agree with IGN's score? What would you give this 15 or whatever hours?
I
on
would
you are?
I would give this a really hearty 7 out of 10.
Wow.
Like
Okay.
I was not rubbed the wrong way with this game, like nearly as much as I thought I was going to. Like I've really enjoyed a lot of parts of this, and there are some parts like the story wise and just you know, I've talked about how good the soundtrack is that I really enjoyed. But the one thing I've heard is like the final boss of the last branch is it takes a very, I mean, I won't spoil it. I mean, I don't know. You know, I'm going to spoil it. I don't
Just
even,
spoil it.
No one wants.
There's no weebs in
So-
here. No one cares.
No, not a single one. Just mute for 30 seconds if you don't want it spoiled. So the final boss of
Wait,
this,
can you stop?
like,
Does this involve tentacles?
no,
Okay.
worse. So the whole game is in this medieval setting,
Mhm.
and then it's pretty. I from what I've heard, I don't know really the setup for it, but in the first game, in the 5th ending you unlocked, you're fighting this like giant monster,
Mm.
and you beat it by like you both all like you, the dragon you're riding, and the monster all get absorbed in this white light, and you all end up in modern day Tokyo, and the final boss is a rhythm game battle against the monster, and it's just the most surreal thing.
That's funny.
And like from what I hear, like I've seen a little bit of it, and it does this thing where like you're trying to hit you have to hit the notes along with, you know, it's playing great music,
Right.
and you have to hit the notes at the exact same time, and sometimes the camera will start swerving away, so you have to hit the note at the same time. Like you have to keep pace with the music, and you just like it takes away your vision of it. And then
Huh.
there's this one final note at the end of the song where the screen is black, and the song has like the pace of the song is slow to like a crawl, and so you have basically no indication of when to block it. And so many people, like all the guides I read are like, okay, prepare for hell for this final boss.
Mm.
Like just the guy making these games, Yoko Taro, he's always made like really like risk taking like design choices. Like literally at one point in the game, all the enemy soldiers are going like, all right, we found out her weakness. Everyone, we need to be as tedious as possible. And so they start throwing like hundreds of identical enemies at you, like making you do the most tedious game design stuff.
The hell?
And it's just like you wouldn't really see that in another game. And but yeah, overall, I mean, you know, a good 7 out of 10. That's what I give it. But I've really been enjoying it, honestly.
Okay. So you are going to be parting ways with so you think IGN, and you know, I'm surprised you and IGN don't see eye to eye, though I'm surprised that IGN is giving any ratings below an 8.5. It just doesn't sound like
yeah,
them.
it's not like them.
No.
I don't know what it is.
You must
I
have
guess
a
if
real
it's-
vendetta against this game.
They must actually dislike it. I don't know how else to come up with that. All right, so again, for people that are just coming in, what is the name of that game that you were just describing?
It's called Drakengard 3.
Dragon Guard 3.
And
Okay.
oh, another thing too. Well, I won't say too much. If you're gonna play it, definitely download the Japanese voices, which is a 10 gigabyte uncompressed download.
Jesus
And
Christ.
you also have to pay $4.99 for the voice option, which is pretty scummy.
Wow. Yeah,
But
That seems a little steep, perhaps.
that
yeah.
seems hard to justify, but
but it's absolutely worth it. The localization for this game is
Mhm.
so shitty. Like some characters, like some of the dialogue has been changed like so much. Like I know a little bit of Japanese, so I can tell like what people are saying basically. And so much of it has just been changed to sound more edgy in English. And they add like swearing where it's like so unnecessary everywhere.
Mm.
So yeah, if you're gonna play it, play with a Japanese full weeb. If you're gonna play a Wii game like this, you got to be full weeb. Never go half weeb.
Okay.
It's a dangerous area.
A good tip. To go full weeb though will require 10 uncompressed gigabytes of download and a $4.99 voice pack.
Yes.
Fair enough. Okay.
All right.
Cool. All right, Katie. What about you, Brad? What you've been playing?
Speaking of downloadable uncompressed files, I downloaded the Fallout 4 high-res texture pack, which took me literally 2 days on my connection because it's 60 gigs.
60.
And so I downloaded it, played it for 10 minutes, and never played it again. Yeah.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
Could you tell a difference?
Actually, yeah, it looks really good. It does.
Okay.
What else have we played? Rust, of course. I just, sank a bunch of time into that. I think I didn't play with you, Scott, but I think we both played For Honor for a little bit, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
a bit.
that was cool for the hour that I played it, and then got bored with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what else? Played Doom for 10 minutes and got bored with that.
Okay, hold on.
Listen, none of these, but what I'm hearing for all the getting bored is that none of these other games are Rust, is what I'm hearing.
No,
Because I know you
honestly,
didn't play Rust for 10 minutes and get bored.
Like I just jump around in Rust and talk shit in chat, and I don't know.
Okay.
If you got bored with Doom, then I don't like. I feel like you have needs that maybe
It's
can't
the
be
same
satisfied
mechanics over and over
by
again.
your ordinary game.
Oh, look at this sweet kill I could do. I'll rip off his arm and hit him in the head with the like.
Dang, dude.
That's about as involved as the game gets, and it's not really. I don't know. Not seeing it.
Wow. Brad playing Rust, but ripping on a Game of the Year nominee for most publications. Interesting.
Okay,
Very
why don't you go over to fucking Pete Hines or whoever's fucking dick you're polishing? Just go tell him.
I haven't even played Doom, and I just know that. I mean, I know Brandon.
How have you not played Doom?
I don't know. I just haven't played it yet. I know it's great, but
it's great.
You played through Minecraft story mode, and you haven't played Doom. You disgust
I played the Doom multiplayer and actually didn't hate it, even though people think that's like the weakest part of the whole thing. Because I know the single player is good.
It actually disgusts me that you've played the multiplayer and you haven't bothered to play the single player.
Yeah,
that's actually sickening.
And honestly, as much as like the multiplayer got shit on, I didn't think it was that bad. To be fair,
that's my point, though, is that if you didn't think the multiplayer was that bad, and it is like unanimously the worst part of that game, what are you waiting for?
Yeah, you're right. I gotta play it.
He's playing that new game, Counter-Strike.
Oh, yeah, have you heard about it?
That's
it's
true,
a dead game that had the highest
overtaken by the flavor of the month, Counter-Strike.
That's right. Did you guys hear that they're reworking Dust 2? It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, they took it out of the competitive circle, right?
Yeah, they did.
You trolling?
No, I'm really not. They're actually reworking it, and Inferno's in now in the competitive map pool.
Interesting. I'll have to practice for the next time we.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. Anything else besides Doom for 10 minutes and the Rust and the For Honor?
No, not at all.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Battlefield. They got back into that.
The only thing I want to hear about Battlefield is on February 14th they're finally releasing new content. Until then, I don't want to hear about it because
new operations.
Yeah, new operations, lots of new stuff.
Oh, thank fuck!
Lots of new stuff.
I feel like I need to play Battlefield again because I'm sure it's probably gotten a lot better since I last played it.
Yeah,
they've released it's like at least three patches by now.
Probably since you played, it's probably been about.
Yeah.
But a lot of the stuff that's still, yes, it's definitely better. But there's certain animation there, that shit where you get revived and your gun broken. I really hope this patch they've been able to fix it. They have been transparent about how it's very hard to fix some of those weird revive glitches, but I
All right,
really
well,
hope
you tell me when I should come back, Scott. It's just sitting in
I
my
think
library.
yeah. I think I'm hoping this patch on the 14th will. I mean, I'm just ready for new operations because I guess I'll go into what
Oh,
I've been
man.
playing. So I played a little BF1, but my fucking god, dude! Like, I I feel like I praised the Battlefield 1 update cycle a little too early because I am also so jaded about how Counter-Strike just fucking updates willy-nilly with their garbage. And I take a little bit of it back. I don't regret Battlefield 1. It's still a really good game. It's still a lot of fun, but it's taking too long to get content out, and it's really, for me, it's really gotten stale. Like, and especially if you're in a party and you end up and you're even remotely competent at the game, and if you're playing operations, and they make you defend, you will not leave that game. It'll take about an hour and a half for these fucking mongoloid fucking Christmas noobs or whatever else. They don't even. I can't tell you. We tried to play 3 games. We got defense every single time on operations, and these people don't even they couldn't even get off the first point, much less the first map, and they just sit back and they don't even do anything. It just becomes the most boring, bogged down garbage ever. So there's some good things in the update that are coming out. There's like a more kind of push and pull mode that they're doing with operate. Like, it's going to be a little bit different than the current setup. There's going to be 2 new operations. There's going to be a lot of good stuff, but I wish it was more steady, like once a month. Like, okay, don't give me 2 operations, give me 1, dude. Just twist my teats and give me 1 operation, and then the next month you can give me another operation, so I can feel like, okay, there's stuff coming out. And like, I know that's how Battlefield does it. They like to do these massive updates, but I really feel like the content's been too slow.
You'd rather see a steadier content drip.
Yeah.
They've been given.
It doesn't even have to be weekly or anything. Yeah, like even once a month. I don't know if anybody else feels that way. Brad, I know you're still playing Battlefield, but has it gotten stale at all for you?
Oh, it definitely did. I think just because this happened with Battlefield 3 and 4 for me. I played it so much in like such a short period of time that like me waiting for the like updates and stuff, like I just ended up burning myself out. So this last week was probably the first time I played in like a month or something like that. So
okay, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm glad
definitely
I'm not the only one feeling
Yeah.
burned. Yeah. So I played that. For Honor, I probably put in like total like 3 or 4 hours overall over the course. I played in the open beta a bit, and then I played before that. I played in the closed beta for a couple hours, and it's just it's okay. So pluses: the most incredibly well optimized Ubisoft game of all time. I launched that thing up. It looks gorgeous. I didn't change a single setting. I plugged in my PS4 controller. Everything worked. It ran great. I don't even think I crashed a single time. So like on that side, I was like, wow, this is actually really impressive. On the negative side, I think the Dominion game mode is just, which is like, so there's a couple different game modes in For Honor if you haven't played it. There's the duels, which I think where the game really shines, which is like 1v1 or 2v2. You can also do a 4v4 deathmatch mode, which is still like without NPCs and stuff like that. It's not capture the point, which is kind of how the Dominion mode set up. And I think it shines there. It's like a deep game. There's a lot of like, you could spend a lot of time on all the different characters, learning the combos, and I think there's probably pretty high skill cap in that game.
So were you playing with a mouse or a controller?
No, I tried with a mouse, and then I just went to a PS4 controller. I felt a lot easier for me personally. Yeah.
Well, I was really struggling with the mouse, and I didn't go to controller because by the time I was just frustrated with it. But you could definitely tell who had a controller though, just because.
Yeah.
So if you haven't played it, basically the person-to-person combat, basically you have to counter their exact moves, and you can tell which direction they're gonna like attack. But like to counter with a mouse, you really have to like send it.
Your mouse.
Yeah, really have to send it flying. But if you have a controller, from what I understand, it's like so much quicker that they have an advantage. So I struggled playing just with the mouse and keyboard. So that was a big turnoff for me personally.
I think with the controller, I think it definitely, for most people, would prefer to play that method. I think it's a lot better. The other thing Yangity's pointed out, peer-to-peer networking in 2017.
Oh yeah.
And that's a huge issue with the game. And I think we were playing it, and I was playing it with Will or Shots, who's been on this podcast as a guest recently, and Sham and stuff. And he said something that I thought was really interesting. He basically said this game feels like they had a really good idea or tech. Like somebody came in and was like, hey, look at this kind of fighting system I've developed. And they were like, how are we going to make it a $60 game? And that is 100% what I feel like. Because for me, it's not, I would never personally, like I know there's some people that really enjoy it, but for me, I don't care. They're going to make some kind of campaign. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't care about that. I care about the duels. For me, like the dual mode or whatever else, that's maybe worth $15, $20, but no more than that. Like I don't see myself sinking that much time into it. And it's kind of not, I don't even think it's a shame. And there's also something, the combat just doesn't feel super satisfying. And I don't know if that's connection based or like maybe not being as experienced with some of the fighters, because there's some people that are really good. But like even in the Dominion game mode, which is like, so you have like these NPC characters in the middle just kind of running back and forth. There's a middle point and then 2 other points, and it's just whoever captures and holds them for the longest till the end wins. The battles that you have, it's a 4v4, so 4 players versus 4 players, and then the NPCs. It just kind of devolves into like people running around and getting like ganked. So sometimes you'll have 2 or 3 people fighting at the same time and you stand no chance. So you'll get hit a little bit and then you run away and you heal up at your base, which you capture. If you stand in your point, you regain health. And it just becomes like, even watching people that were way better than me, like I was watching streams and I was just like, my God, I don't know. It just kind of devolves into this boring meta of like, well, when you can't, you're not gonna be able to take on 2 guys that know what they're doing at the same time for the most part. So you got to run away and heal. And I don't know. I don't think it has that it factor. And it didn't grab me. Like if it didn't grab me in the first hour, and I like I said, I kept playing it a decent amount. I would say 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, nothing really stood out to me where it was like, I want to come back to this. Yeah, it's like,
yeah,
I don't know. It reminded me of Mountain Blade, I guess, a little
bit.
Just with the way you have to like defend yourself and stuff, but it was much more like the perspective felt like a Gears of War kind of thing. I don't know, just with like the way you ran and stuff.
Yeah, I can see that with like the FOV and the way that follows you.
I don't know. Yeah, I see what you mean though. It doesn't really have a bite, something to draw you in.
Yeah. So we'll see. I think it'll be interesting to see how it sells and stuff like that. Basically there was very few people that I talked to that even said that like, yeah, I would pay $60 for this. And I think that's an issue. I think even
did you try Conan Exiles?
I didn't try Conan. No, I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, it's nothing new. It's literally like Rust without guns.
that should be on the box art.
It sort of is. It's like the only thing,
dude. Dude, you have a boob and penis slider, dude.
Exactly. That they're going for like shock factor there, and like that's all it really is. It's like, oh shit, I can have a massive dong. Fuck yeah,
dude. Yeah. No, I was watching it, and that's what I was thinking. I was like, there's literally no new ground being kind of unearthed here that hasn't been done.
Yeah,
in some form. I mean, I guess that's true of all games to a certain extent, but it's like another early fucking access, survival building. God, like how many of these can they make? And I mean, I think it makes sense though, marketing wise. Like, dude, you have a lot of younger people that are going to freak out every time they see the boobs and the penis up to a certain point. So, why not use that as a factor? But I don't know. So you played it, Brad, or you're talking from watching?
Yeah, I got a code, and I just didn't. The community wasn't there, so immediately I was losing interest on that front. But then, yeah, it was pretty cool until it was like hit this lake, and then an alligator came up to me and killed me, and then I flew into the sky, and like I don't know what happened, but it seemed pretty sweet. Probably won't buy it.
You're the Rust expert. You should be.
Yeah.
You should be leading the charge into a game like that.
See, now the better players are going to be on Rust already, so we don't. I'm not going to be recruiting on Conan. It's like.
Okay. I see that Rust Elite coming out.
Yeah. I mean, I have Gary Newman randomly generating my dick size, so why do I need a slider to
Hard to argue with that logic.
Yeah. Okay. Brandon, what about you? What have you been?
My section
playing?
really short. I've been basically playing nothing,
Okay.
pretty much.
You played that real life chains on the tires in Lake Tahoe game.
Yeah, I
So.
played the real life game, and this week I actually played the adult game of like going to bed at a reasonable time. Like instead of playing a game or instead of messing around, like I've actually made what most would consider the adult choice of like getting God forbid like 8 or 9 hours of sleep some nights.
Wow.
Which is
Nice.
pretty foreign for me. But
Yeah.
I'm just giving it a try. I'm giving kind of a healthier lifestyle a try, and I'm sure that I will devolve back into former habits soon. But
that's good.
But yeah, actually the only thing I really did this weekend was I binge watched the O.J. Simpson show on Netflix. It's actually pretty good.
I have not watched that yet. Yeah,
It was really good. I kind of like these like one or two season things that are based on real stuff that happened. So like Narcos, I just watched that, and then this O.J. Simpson thing, and like Making a Murderer was pretty good. Like I'm kind of getting into these Netflix shows where they're doing, it's like either a kind of like a drama or something, but it's based on something that really happened,
right?
Or it's just like a straight up documentary, like Making a Murderer is. But I don't know, something about that I'm just like learning a very small amount, but I'm still being entertained. That's really I like that. So
yeah,
I hope they keep doing shows like that.
Sweet. All right. Well, that is doing what we've been playing. And let's real quick before we jump into the news, because we've got some very crispy, saucy, delicious news items to talk about. We've got some things happening on the KBMOD website, on the KBMOD stream team.
That's right.
Would you like to review that right now, Bradley?
Yeah, I'll just run through it real quick. It looks like we have some. Speaking of the garbage game Conan Exiles, Tim did a stream highlight and a video review.
Nice.
Looks like we have a review on Brutal. I don't think that's the one. I don't know what this one is, but I don't think it's the band title from Twitch. I think it's something else, right?
Pronounce that Brute Addle.
Brute Addle with the @ sign.
Brutal with an @ sign in it.
But yeah, we have some video content which is good. So if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel. I think it's youtube.com/KBMOD gaming. Anyways, we have a video review on Allah's Awakening, getting started in Conan Exiles, and in case you missed a video on Gears of War 4 by 06. So definitely some content there. So check it out. KBMOD.com for everything. So
check it out. Read the articles. Leave comments if you enjoyed. Appreciate all that content those guys are putting out. So there you go. So now let's talk about appreciating something that Valve's doing. Things that I don't. Oh, what a segue. Things that I don't normally say in regards to Valve, like the word appreciate or, yeah, that's about it. I don't think I've ever used that word, but I appreciate the fact that Steam Greenlight is going the fuck away. Because honestly, can we all agree that Steam Greenlight has become a meme at this point, right?
It's pumped out so much garbage.
So much garbage. Yes, like some good things have flourished, and okay, that's good. Like there's been a few diamonds in the rough, but for the most part, if like the way when you even say it, you're like, oh, is that a Steam Greenlight game? Like if it's a total piece of shit, that's what you attribute it to. So, in more detail, basically, Valve's saying that they're pretty much done with this experiment, and they've talked to different people, different developers, and there isn't a set price yet, but essentially for games to be distributed and submitted now to the library, it's going to cost you some money. and it's not going to be just this kind of willy
Yeah, and
nilly.
that's
It sounds like
that has
basically
a
there's going to be some
range of,
actual, yeah, like
$100
content control.
to 5,000. Well, that's what the responses they got was 100 to 5,000.
They haven't set what it's going to be price wise yet, but I mean, what do you guys think about this? Just, I mean, before we get into more details, like,
I mean, basically, it sounds like they're at a point where they feel like they can get rid of Greenlight and sort of just turn Steam into that automated publishing platform that they sort of, I think, have always wanted. Like Greenlight was basically just a way for them to let the community do some screening instead of just letting anything onto Steam. And it sounds like now they're sort of they're getting rid of Greenlight. I'm guessing sort of because they just want all of those games to be published on Steam. Like if you want to publish a game on Steam, you won't even have to go through the Greenlight process. And it sounds like that's why they're debating the fee, because the fee is sort of just that small barrier to make sure that the person is actually like serious about it. You know, it's like so that you don't get spam, so that you have to actually like put a little bit of skin in the game. But I think it sounds like they feel like their tools are at a place where they can get rid of Greenlight without turning all of Steam into, a bunch of trash. Which, it's like, I guess, sort of up for debate whether you think Greenlight has been a good thing or bad thing. But I don't necessarily think that getting rid of Greenlight is going to put more garbage on Steam, because like a lot of that stuff is already on Steam. So I feel like Steam at this point is basically, I look at it the same way as like the Android and iOS app stores, where like if you want to talk about garbage, I mean, just look at those stores. Like they have, millions and millions of apps, and the majority of them are just garbage, right? Steam, I think, is sort of is heading that same direction, where there's going to be a lot of stuff on there that you probably won't ever care about, but that's okay. Like that stuff just lives there sort of in the shadows, and unless you're searching for it, you'll never run across it. But I think Steam
unless
wants
you
to
listen to this podcast.
Well,
which you
I mean, but
across.
even no, that's the thing though. Like even the stuff we highlight on the podcast is
it
nowhere
is.
near the bottom rung usually, unless we're like specifically calling it out because it is on the bottom rung. But
KD definitely can swirl up some of that bottom.
I mean, that's what I'm saying though. Like if you're looking for it, you can definitely find it. But I don't think that
And
getting
you don't have
rid
to look
of
hard.
Huh? Go ahead.
I was just saying you don't have to look very hard to find some.
I mean, that's true. That's true. But it's not like it stops you from finding the thing that you want to find, And I think that's
true. Yeah.
That's what it's like. It's not that I'm getting a whole bunch of stuff in my face that I really think is garbage. It's just that stuff exists out there. But it's not like Steam is promoting it. It's not like I see it on the front page. So I think getting rid of Greenlight probably makes sense, because if they're at a point now where they feel like they can put up enough barriers to keep out like the trolls and just spam and garbage, like actual true garbage, like scams and just other stuff, right? Other stuff that is not a good faith effort by someone to make a real game. If they think their tools are at a place where they can sort of break down the Greenlight wall without having to have the customers see scams and spam and all that stuff, I mean, like, it makes sense to me. I think that's probably why they're debating a lot about that fee, because that fee is going to be what people focus on. Right. If you make it $5,000 or something, that's a pretty high bar for someone who's just messing around, but like maybe thinks they could sell some copies. Whereas $100, like maybe that's too low. Maybe people will still put up garbage because $100 isn't really that much, if you sell a few copies. So I don't know. I think
exactly.
Greenlight, I don't really know. I don't know what Greenlight has stopped from happening. I guess that's the thing. Like I see some things that got greenlit that I'm like, okay, I'm glad that exists. I'm glad that's a game that maybe wouldn't have existed without the Greenlight system. But now it seems like those games will just be able to go on Steam instead of maybe not getting vetted and getting created. Now those games, like, there's not going to be a system in the way if someone's really determined to make a game. So
Right.
I think hopefully we'll see, like you were saying, Scott, we've seen some diamonds in the rough, and Greenlight has produced some successes. Hopefully we just see a few more successes, and we won't
Right.
necessarily see a whole bunch more garbage.
Yeah, there's an interesting comment real quick on this from a guy who is saying that he working on a game for 14 months. He was planning on a green light submission, but he's going to wait for the direct policy that they're talking here with the fee, because he was dreading being drowned out by meme simulators and stuff like that. So he's like, I believe enough in my game that I'll find the 1 to 2K or whatever they end up doing it. You know what I mean? Like to get my game on Steam. And I think that's what you're talking about, where it's like people that are actually serious and like feel like they're going to put out a product that can sell are not going to be too phased by, again, like I agree. I think 5K might be a little bit steep, especially for the layman. But
And I think that's recoupable too.
Yes.
If I read correctly, like I think that fee is recoupable. So it's basically like if your game actually sells copies, you get that back anyway.
So yeah, definitely interesting, and the end of an era. So rest in peace, Steam Greenlight. I will not miss you personally, but maybe somebody will be at your funeral. I will be pissing on your grave and I'm gonna have eaten a lot of asparagus, so it smells real fucking nasty.
Oh.
Too.
There is one line in here that is kind of interesting that I glossed over before, but in this announcement that Greenlight's going away in favor of Steam Direct, they mentioned that there are now over 100 Greenlight titles that have made at least $1 million each.
Wow. I mean,
so
that's
I would say that's actually like a little more than just a diamond in the rough every now and then. Like that's when you think about 100 games that maybe wouldn't have gotten made at all, before Greenlight existed, that I think if I'm inside Valve, that looks like success to have that many games that sort of graduated from the Greenlight system. So
yeah, that's true. When you look at it, that $100 million in revenue from games that again may not have seen the light of day, that's pretty.
I think that's like as much as people want to critique Valve and stuff. Like I feel like those are the sort of calculated risks that Valve doesn't necessarily have to take because they're the market leader in PC games, but that like taking some of those risks or doing things that maybe not everyone agrees with actually can end up sort of growing that pie, and ultimately that's what you want to see Steam doing instead of sitting on the piles of cash they have. You still want to see them pushing the envelope in ways that benefit the people creating games, and I think Greenlight did that. So it's cool to see them continually lowering the bar for people that want to make games.
Right. So a second piece to this real quick while we're talking about Valve news. And so here's some positive PR for Valve. Gabe is saying now that modders absolutely need to be paid in some recent comments. And if you'll remember, back, was it last year?
Skyrim. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 2 years. Was it last year with the whole Skyrim debacle?
2015, I think. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So it's about 2 years ago when basically they rolled out their kind of plans for how they were going to monetize and then pay. I don't remember the full details of that.
They rolled out paid mods for Skyrim.
Right, but it was just Skyrim.
I think it was just Skyrim at the start.
It was.
And they pretty much like in a matter of days rolled it back because of all the negative feedback.
Yeah, people.
But it sounds like Gabe is still, in terms of like his philosophy, he still very much believes that modders should be paid, and so it sounds like they have been working on making it sounds like basically paid mods are going to come back in some form.
Yeah.
Steam.
I'm actually I support this a little bit, but
yeah, I think I mean I agree conceptually too. I'm always frankly amazed at the amount of work people are willing to put in to make these amazing mods for free. So philosophically, I agree with Gabe that modders should have a way to monetize mods. I think that what they tried in 2015 was just like the sort of, in hindsight, the worst way they could have gone about it, because Skyrim is one of the most mature modding scenes on the PC. So I think trying to go in and disrupt what is a really mature modding scene, it was probably, well, not probably, like it was clearly the wrong way to go. But I think if anyone can find a smart system for bringing monetization to mods, it is Valve, because they've already done it with their their games, right? Like TF2 and Dota, they have what are effectively mods, like people making skins and hats and all of that, and monetizing them through Steam. So Valve already has sort of a framework for that. It's just that it's only for their games.
I just think it's, if you look through some of these comments too, you can just see that like people are just being cheap at this point. It's like, I will never support this. I will never pay for a single mod in my life. It's like, it's just no actual reasoning on why they wouldn't want to pay modders, other than like, oh, Valve wants more money or something. Like, of course, I mean, they're in the business of selling things like digital assets, but like outside of that, like people should be like, I've always wanted to, like, I think if I like something, I should have the freedom to buy it if the developer's okay with it. But like, that opens up a whole new venue for like huge and expansive mods, and I think it could improve games like Skyrim. But I don't think we should ignore it just because people just want to be fucking cheap on the internet, you know?
Well, I mean, I think that is a fair point, though. I'm not saying I agree with them, but also that I think that is going to be the largest obstacle in their way, is that people have always been used to getting mods for free, and whether that's right or not, that's what people are used to. So if there's something, I mean, it's the same in a way. It's kind of the same argument as like people who would not necessarily want to pay for content on the internet. Right, and that's why we have so many sites that are ad supported, even though everyone hates ads. Like, people aren't necessarily willing to pay money in exchange for content, so they just put up with ads, because that's like the way the internet monetization model works right now for a lot of places. So I think it's going to be, if anyone can find a way to do it, I think it's Valve. But I do think it's going to be a challenge to get people to pay for something that historically they haven't had to pay for. And
well, I just don't see, like, if you don't want to pay for something, then speak with your wallet. Like, I never understood that.
Yeah,
like,
definitely. I mean, like I said, I agree with you, but I think that I think that there are also a lot of legitimate issues that people will have with things like whether mods work on their PC. Right, for a long time before Steam had a refund system, this was a big problem, where if a game didn't work on your computer, you were just out of luck. You know, you spent that money and you had no recourse. I feel like mods are that to the nth degree, because a lot of mods straight up break the game, right? Some mods just like they've not been compatibility tested at all. They break the game, or they just don't work. And so, like, Skyrim's a good example. You know, when I go to play Skyrim, I've installed 10 mods, and then I go and I try and play, and it just literally doesn't work. And I'm like, oh, I probably should have installed 10 mods at once. But I think if you have a paid mod system, there's gotta be some affordance for that happening, and either you get, like, I don't know, trial periods, or there's a generous
like a
refund
security
system
to know that, like, something, you're buying a working product.
Right.
Like, I think,
Yeah.
So I think that's the hard thing to wade through, is some of these mods are put together by like teams of professionals, and some of them are just like some dude who changed one thing, you know, in an art modeling program, and decided to upload it to Steam, you know, because why not? So I think finding the difference between those, and understanding that there's like very much two ends to that spectrum, I think is going to be the important part. I think people are definitely willing to pay, like, you know, $1 or $2 or a few bucks for like a really awesome mod, like some of the ones we see in Skyrim. But then you don't want to give the expectation that like someone can charge $1 for their little like thing that changes one skin.
So, do you think there should be like some kind of system? Like obviously there's a difference between adding the crab with the top hat to the game, or like a complete rework of like new quests and things like that. Like like you said, mods that like professionals worked on. So you think there could be something where maybe if the devs are on board with it, they can like sponsor specific mods and say, hey, listen, we really like this mod. Before you release this, how about we work together? Well, we can elevate this, make sure it works on, a lot of our platforms, and then, we can sell it officially,
Well, I think
So you're
that's
saying like put a spotlight on certain mods or something?
Yeah, like, mods that, deserve the attention that aren't that I mean, and that could also filter out things like, oh, Master Chief being a companion, that bridges copyright, so that couldn't really be like sponsored. I mean sponsored, that's kind of like a term I use where I mean like because like if the devs are on board with it, then that compatibility issue is kind of, being worked out also with it.
Well, here's the thing though. Like this is where I feel like it gets even deeper, right? If you have a system set up where like the game developers, for instance, get a share of the money spent on mods for the game, you could end up in a situation where there's actually this perverse incentive to like not fix the game in certain ways, because you're making more money off of like community things that fix or alter the game. And so I'm not saying that would actually happen, but like if you think about it, there is that hypothetical situation where a game release is broken in some way, and someone releases a mod for, I don't know, say $1 or something, $2, $5, whatever it is, that fixes the game in a way that like let's say like DS fix, right, with Dark Souls. Like a lot of people would basically say don't play it without this. If all of a sudden there's a financial incentive for the studio to leave that behavior there, that feels like it
for
gets
other
a
people
little
to fix their games.
right. That feels like, and that's why I think it's like a pretty challenging problem for Valve to solve, because I think they released it with Skyrim with like a revenue share thing for Bethesda, and I think that's one of the things that I think feels a little scummy, is that you're saying that the community, like someone works on this mod, but then some of it's going to go to the devs, when in some cases you're fixing something that the devs didn't fix in the game. I feel like the incentives can get a little bit mixed up. So I think they need to think about that.
Guideline. So maybe if it was strictly content based or like cosmetic, for
that
instance.
doesn't. You might have to limit it that way.
Yeah, it feels like if Valve
something-
wants to turn this into like an automated thing, which I think they do for pretty much everything, like they would want this to be an automated thing that every game could take advantage of. It feels like they have a lot of different edge cases to think about if it comes to like they want to give a revenue share to the devs. I think you've got to assume that there will be bad actors if the incentives work out that way.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. So we'll definitely have to keep our eye on this, because I agree. Like, it definitely is going to be a challenging issue. I do think the tides have turned a little bit. I think there's a lot more people willing, especially with the way that Valve has talked about this, to pay for mods depending on what it ends up being now. But you're right. There are going to be people that are definitely going to be kind of the diehard, like, no, I'm never going to pay for it. And I think, like you said, that I'll use a term that you love to use, Brandon. The value proposition is going to have to be, proven and made to these people who are very skeptical about that stuff. I mean, I guess on the other side too is then that they don't have to be involved in that sense, where, because then are we going to get in a situation where mods are going to we're going to have pirated mods of ones that are supposed to be paid. You know what I mean? Like, really, like, I think it, like, that could be there's going to be this other black market of like, hey, isn't that a paid mod? Like, yeah, well, I didn't pay $5 for it. I just got the files. Like, how do you enforce that too? Or I guess maybe you don't, like, but there's a lot of questions.
There's definitely just a lot. I think a lot to figure out, because modding by its very nature is sort of,
like,
it's the Wild West. Like, it's different for every game. Like every game is gonna be a little bit different. So there's not a ton of structure around the
Yeah.
way modding scenes develop around games.
Right.
So it's I think there's a potential to damage this the modding scene when you put that element of money in it.
Right.
Because then it's like, well, okay, if a whole bunch of people just decide, if the mod makers decide they're only going to make mods and charge money for them, and then the customers
Right.
don't want to spend money on them, then that
Yeah.
modding scene dies, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's a thorny problem, but Valve has at least one data point about how not to do it, so hopefully they're putting more thought into their second go at it.
Let's hope Valve can remove the T and just make it a horny problem for a bunch of teenagers. You know what I mean? Okay. That was a terrible joke. Okay. We're going to move
I had
on.
to think about that one before I even got it.
Yeah. Some serious wordplay going on. Okay. So E3 is open to the public for 2017. You can buy tickets for E3. And let me hit you with the prices real quick. Okay.
Okay.
The first set of tickets are selling for $149 for the 3 days. I think that's pretty. How does that strike you? Pretty reasonable for 3 days of E3.
I mean,
little pricey.
That's more.
that's a little
That's
pricey.
about PAX right there for the weekend, right?
And how about $249 for the second set of tickets?
That's
All right.
very pricey.
So let me tell you how this works. 15,000 tickets to consumers. The first 1,000 are for $149. The rest of the other 14,000 are for $249. And listen, okay, I've ranted on E3 before. I have many times in this podcast, having worked in the industry and actually gone to E3 and like covered stuff and interviewed people and done all of that. And I will say unequivocally, when I was younger and I was reading my fucking Game Informer and official PlayStation magazine, and I wanted to be at E3, dude. It was a dream. And then I got there and I was like, this show fucking blows. And I like the luster wears off pretty quick. And to be fair, it's been a couple years since I went to E3, but it's something that if you've worked it before, people will say this all the time, is that like E3 is so much better to watch at home than it is to attend. Because the way in the past, and obviously they might be catering it more now that they're selling tickets to try to make it more of an experience, but it's not a show that's designed in the past, was never designed for fans or whatever. It's just for them to show off what they've got and whatever. And the lines are insane because everybody's press, right? Like you can try to get a few favors, but everyone's kind of in the same boat. And I don't know, you would have to put a gun to my head to get me to pay $249 to go to E3 for 3 days. That's like insane to me. So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to switch it up a bit, and maybe in previous years it's improved. But I don't know any of you guys as far as like going to E3 and stuff like that. My least favorite show out of anything I've been to, including PAX, TwitchCon, other stuff.
Well, I know from all my friends in the industry, like they all say like, don't do it. It's not worth even $100. Like it's for everybody looking for an experience. Like go to TwitchCon, go to PAX, go to fucking QuakeCon. E3 is
go to DreamHack.
Anything. Because it's not worth $250, not worth $150, and I've heard people saying it's not worth $100.
I think part of that, though, I mean, I sort of agree, but part of that is also what the show was before they allowed the public in. Like, I look at this as I think E3 is seeing that the shows that do cater to the public, and like obviously PAX is the big one, right? That in a way, if you think about competition among the physical events, like PAX and E3 are competing. They're competing for people's attention, competing for the same like booth budgets and stuff from game companies and advertisers and all that. I think E3 is seeing that there's a potential that they're irrelevant over time because you can do more and more of like the experience online, and that's a pretty big risk if they don't think about bringing in the public, because PAX is doing really well. Like you said, TwitchCon was awesome. There are a lot of events where the fans make the event even better,
right?
And E3 is like really the only event. Actually, I think it is the only event I can think of that has this threshold for like who can go to it. And they've been in this weird spot, I think, for a few years with like streamers, YouTube personalities, things like that, who are like media in their own right, but they're not traditional media. You know, they don't work for a newspaper or something like that, so they don't have like these traditional media credentials. And I think E3 has, I think this is basically the way that they finally just allow, you know, Twitch streamers and YouTubers and all of them to come, because they're going to lose relevance if they continue to just, you know, require these media credentials that so many people don't have.
I see E3 as like the CES equivalent of like video games. I haven't been to E3 myself, but at least the impression that I got from people that have come to E3, like E3 was a like industry only event, or is seen as that.
Well, no, but it literally was. That's the thing. Like,
right.
It literally
until
is.
recently. You're right. Like,
yeah.
I think
so
last
I
year
think
they
that's
opened
why
up some
they've
tickets to people.
they did. But I think that's why they're doing this now, is because if you're a Twitch streamer or something, or you want to cover the show on your YouTube channel or live stream the show, or I don't know, then $149 makes a lot of sense. That's not super expensive. If you're going to go and kind of work it in a sense. But I think for just a show goer, I don't know that that there's good value in $149. I think $249 is pretty ridiculous. But maybe E3, the show, right? Maybe what publishers bring to E3 changes because of the fact that the public will be there now. So it's possible that E3, the show, gets better because they now do allow the public in. Because historically it was only geared to press and stuff, and that made it kind of a boring show in a way. If you were expecting the same thing as a PAX or something. So I think I think the pricing seems pretty crazy to me, but there's not that many tickets. Like 15,000 is a lot lower than you know, like the PAXs do. You know, PAX East, PAX West, like those shows I think are like well over 40 or 50,000. So
well, I think one interesting thing to think about is what this means for press and publishers, because like we've already seen publishers and stuff backing out of E3 slowly over the years anyways. Like I think it was EA saying that they were going to do their own thing outside the convention, but like conveniently do it at the same time as E3 was taking place. So that's interesting in that aspect. But then as far as press goes, that like I've heard it's pretty crazy and hectic, and like even, you know, waiting in lines, you're doing your scheduling and stuff like that. As press was nutty before, but like I can't imagine what it's going to be like now if you're trying to do this, but with like 10,000 people there in attendance as well.
Because it literally says in the thing, it's encouraging YouTubers and Twitch streamers to request press access. So, like, yeah, like you're saying, like that's a lot of people. Is that going to change? Like, I don't know how liberally they're going to give that out, but if you stream on Twitch, are you going to, or if you have a YouTube channel, right, and you throw your credentials in, are they just going to give press?
Like, I mean, I think other events already do that. Like, they're still going to vet people who register as media, but I think there is a chance that this this move sort of waters down the show for the press and industry folks, because I imagine there are probably people who go to E3 who do like the fact that it's not a public show, and it maybe, you know, allows them to get more business done or do, you know, whatever all the people that go to E3 go for. But the public being allowed in changes the dynamic of that show. And maybe it waters it down a bit. Like, I don't really know. It's because E3's never really been a show like that, at least as long as I've been paying attention to it.
So we'll keep an eye on it, and if you end up going to E3, take some pictures and send them to us, and maybe you know, tell us how it went, because Brandon, E3. Do you go every year? Or
been
no?
for the past few years, yeah. But
so
I wouldn't. It's not a show that I would generally recommend, you know, someone go to unless you've got a strong reason to. Right. But I do think that this is going to change E3 the show. Like I think they will. I think the people doing booths and stuff at E3 will change their strategy when the public is allowed in. So I think E3, it will probably change to be a more public friendly show because of this move. I still think there are probably, as I sit here now, better ways to spend your money, like your show going money. Because this, E3 historically is not the show that I would have recommended a random person go to. So I guess we'll have to see if this changes things. Also, the other thing probably worth mentioning is like just being able to go to E3 doesn't mean that you can go to the different press conferences.
Exactly.
So like you're still, I have never been to one of the press conferences at E3. I have watched all of those online with everyone else.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. Like I don't know if people understand that. Like just because you buy a ticket to E3, that doesn't mean you would just get to go to the press conference. There's probably still things you would watch online, just like you would if you didn't go. So I think that's, like you were saying, Scott, the online experience at E3.
Right.
Even the people at E3 still experience a lot of it online.
Yep, that's true. That's true. Okay. All right, and then real quick before we jump into some quick hits, NBA 2K, the developers of that are teaming up with the NBA for an esports league. This was pretty interesting news this week. And
no, Scott, please refer to the proper terminology here.
Oh.
It is NBA 2K
E-League. Sorry.
That is a lowercase e, capital
Yes.
L, NBA
is.
2K E-League.
There it is.
Ugh.
Wow. Coming in 2018. And it's actually, a joint effort between Take-Two Interactive, which publishes NBA 2K, and the parent company of 2K Sports, which publishes NBA 2K, and the actual NBA itself. And it's going to be basically a 5-person esports team in the E-League will be run by real-life NBA clubs, although it's unclear if each of the NBA's 30 franchises will operate its own squad in the league itself. Competition in the E-League will... I love how they keep saying E-League in the article. Competition in the E-League will resemble the structure of a traditional sports schedule, head-to-head matchups over the course of a regular season, followed by bracket-based playoffs. So I think this is interesting. Apparently,
it sounds like they're creating what they think of as an electronic version of the NBA. Like they're trying to make it where the teams are actual 5-person teams, the same way you have 5 people on a basketball court. They're going to be run by real NBA teams, and they're like looking at this as, these guys are these people are going to be like full time in this league. It's
ambitious. I mean,
so ambitious is one word for it.
Tinfoil hat time. I think what my theory is that the viewership in general on NBA, like basketball games, are down, and they see like millennials going toward like esports and video games.
Yep.
And I think to try and recapture like younger people to watch their games again is to introduce something like this. Because like, to be honest, if people are like going to be watching NBA 2K streams, they're likely going to also watch like actual NBA games, and vice versa. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I could see that mindset. I mean, I think it's funny that when we talk about like esports and stuff like that, you don't really have like, there's a Madden scene or whatever else, but none of the games that are actually esports games are traditional sports games, and it's really never been that way.
None of the sports simulation games are in the esports conversation today.
Right.
And
exactly.
Really, I would consider like FIFA.
I mean, not really though. A lot of FIFA is in the online content conversation, but not really the esports conversation.
The esports side, no.
Like a lot of people make FIFA content, but a lot of it is not like competitive play.
Really?
Yeah. So I see, I guess it's sort of the question is whether the NBA can brute force this into being popular, really.
Right.
Because I think that the esports veterans out there will look at this and say this is one more example of cart before the horse.
Right.
You know, of like throwing a lot of money at a scene that frankly like doesn't have the underpinnings of a successful esport right now. But
frankly, it doesn't exist right now.
Right.
There isn't there's no setup. Like when it comes to this, there's no setup. There's not I don't think there's a single group of 5 people that each play an individual position online in NBA 2K. It doesn't exist. Like there's one person who maybe there's streamers that are successful. There's people that can play at a high level, whatever, and control all the players. So I think that's one of the wrinkles of this that's really interesting, is that you're going to have 5v5. Like you're going to have one guy's going to always play the point guard. Or I don't know exactly how it's going to work. But that to me sounds a little bit like, again, cart ahead of the horse, or even just like, will that work? Like, wouldn't it make more sense to just have like players like they do and have an organization like, okay, for the Golden State Warriors, this guy is the best 2K player that they could find. I don't know. Like, I think that it almost seems a little dated to me to almost have that mindset. Like we need to have a 5-man roster to be fair, I've never played a game of 2K with like 4 other people. Maybe it's super cool, but
well, and I mean, it's also, I don't know that we know enough details. It may just be that they still play 1v1, but like
they have
the league is set up in a
people.
way where like, there are 5 players on the team. They play
Right.
some system where, whoever wins
It
the
could be.
majority of the
It could
games
be.
or something.
That's how I would see
that's
it.
how you read it too. Okay, cool. Because to me it sounded like like they were trying to
Right.
make it to be the same thing as like an NBA game where you have your 5 starters. But maybe not.
Yeah, because I see it as like, at least my impression of NBA, like 2K, for instance, is it's a like plays, roster picks, stuff like that. Like I feel like it would be just too many cooks with 5 people trying to decide all that for like a game, where instead they had like 5 people in
Right.
a bracket or something like that, and then maybe one of them makes it out to the top, for instance, and then that'd be a team win. So
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely going to keep eyes on it. I think,
The question,
it's
I mean,
definitely
the
ambitious.
thing that scares me a little bit as I look at this is like, do you have enough of a fan base and a player base around NBA 2K to have professional teams of 5 in each of the in the NBA markets? Because I feel like that's the thing that so far no game has proven that like a regional model for esports works. The Overwatch League is trying to do that, but again, they like their stuff is basically all ambitions right now. None of that has actually come to fruition yet. And I feel like this is another attempt at that, where there's like this underlying assumption that there will be enough interest and enough players for the game to field like a good 5-person squad in all of these markets. And I don't know that I see that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely don't see that yet.
I don't know that I see that. Like, if they're going to do this in 2018, like, I don't know that I see that in a year or two. That feels like not a guarantee ever. I don't know that it ever feels like a guarantee to me that a game like NBA 2K is going to fill a stadium the way that League of Legends does.
Right. So it doesn't really say this, I don't think, in the article, but like there needs to be some level, like, have they even had has there been a big esport centric 2K tournament ever yet? Like where it was promoted and like we're getting the best 2K players. There's I don't know, $150,000 in the line or whatever. Have they done that on a platform or whatever?
See, that's the thing. That's why I said FIFA earlier. I've heard of tournaments and stuff with FIFA, but never 2K. Like that's new to me.
I mean, I'm sure they probably have somewhere, right? I'm sure there are some competitive events that have happened for NBA 2K, but I guess my point is like, if we don't know about them, right? We're like pretty. I would say that the 4 people sitting here are pretty hardcore esports fans relative to like your normal your average person.
Your average Joe.
Yeah.
And so when we don't necessarily know about the scene at all, that means that it's not in the public consciousness of people that care about esports right now. And so I don't know. I don't know if this regional model is actually going to work. And the Overwatch League, super ambitious. This league, seems way more ambitious. Because Overwatch at least has like a pretty huge player base, and a lot of momentum behind it. I worry that this feels a little bit like just throwing a lot of money at a thing and seeing if it works.
Yeah.
What if they were just they just decided to start paying influencers, quote unquote? I hate using that term, but just to play their game, and they were like part of the Blazers or something,
Well, that's the thing. They might do that, but then that's not how you build a strong esport. Like, no one's gonna actually take it seriously if that's what it ends up being. If your 5-person team is just 5 people in that locale that have a online fan base, no one's gonna actually take that seriously. Like, we don't see that in any of the large esports today. You don't take. I don't know. We maybe see it occasionally. But at the highest level of play, you're not seeing. I don't think you're seeing that. You're not seeing some team take an influencer that they don't actually think is really good.
I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to get this is only getting me more excited to play NBA 2K finally, because I used to play the 2K games back in the day and really enjoyed them, but it's been a couple years since I played.
Well, here's the thing, Scott. I mean, let's think about the population of Philadelphia, right?
Sure.
I don't think it would take that much effort for you to be one of the top 5 NBA 2K players in Philadelphia.
I
really don't.
No. Dude, all I used to do was play sports games on my console. So I think I just got to get back in the groove, but there's a possibility. I think one thing we do have to be careful about, though, because I don't think I feel like I know a lot of people play 2K, and there are certain streamers that are more popular, or YouTubers and stuff like that. But again, I would be really curious to see what is 2K's even player base, and for people that play online and everything. It'd be really interesting to see the numbers, because I have no really, I don't have any reference point to know how many people are online at any given time on any platform. I think obviously the console would be much more than PC.
Yeah.
What are they?
It's probably quietly one of those games that a lot of people play, but it's more like your casual players, kind of like the people that buy Madden or Call of Duty every year.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of those. But that's the thing, is those people are not necessarily the ones watching esports content. So how do you take what I think of as a more casual sports simulation game for a lot of customers? That doesn't mean that they're going to watch an NBA 2K competition. So, and I think if you don't convert those players into viewers of your esport, then I don't see how this succeeds.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's what I'm thinking too. That's where there has to be the marketing, there has to be the promotion. I mean, maybe they're planning to do that. You have to reach those people that are just playing this game casually and make them go, okay, why would I want to watch this league, or why would I want to watch this person play the game?
But that's the part to me that feels unproven, because I don't think those people largely are not the people watching esports online today. So it's like an education thing. You're gonna have to convince those people and educate them about why they should care about this thing. And I think that's going to be a pretty long road that costs a lot of money. I mean, look, the NBA is not short on money, but it feels very much like things we've seen before, where the corporate interest comes in and spends a whole lot of money, and they don't see their return, so then they just drop it.
Yeah,
and that worries me about this one too. Guess we'll find out in 2018.
We will. All right, let's jump into the quick hits. Brandon or Brad want to hit up this AMD thing while I go let my cat out before she pees on my floor? I'll be right back.
So this first quick hit here, just interesting one that I saw earlier this week, that AMD has confirmed that there won't be any Ryzen drivers for Windows 7. So I'm not sure exactly why that is. AMD gave kind of a PR statement about, they want to achieve the highest confidence in the performance of AMD Ryzen desktop processors. And they validated them against Windows 7 and Windows 10, but they're only going to support Windows 10 with drivers. So that basically means you technically can, you can install a card and not install the actual drivers from AMD or NVIDIA for it. You can do that, but if you're going to be playing games or doing anything remotely demanding, you definitely want to install the manufacturer drivers. So,
well, that was like Intel with the Kaby Lake processors. I think it was Jay's 2 cents or something. He was trying to install, it was like Windows 8 or Windows 7, and it was just blue screening for him. And that's like it's interesting that AMD is going to take this route as well, but I don't know.
Yeah, it pretty much means that you won't want to be running you won't necessarily want to be running Ryzen on Windows 7, because AMD is just admitting to you now that they are not going to care about any type of compatibility issue you see, or any crashes, anything like that. Their whole development focus is going to be on Windows 10. So it's basically just Windows 7 slowly getting left behind. I'm just kind of surprised. The thing that surprises me about this is AMD has to know, I'm sure they know, that they have a whole lot of people running AMD cards that are on Windows 7. So I'm just interested in what those internal conversations were like, where they decided to jettison support for Windows 7, which almost certainly gets rid of support for a pretty large portion of their existing user base. But I guess it's not that surprising, because over time people are just going to stop supporting Windows 7 from a cost perspective.
No.
So Scott is gonna at some point Scott is gonna hit some problem, and he's gonna have to
I
upgrade.
am. I'm gonna no, I know.
Scott, I think if the prices are true and the performance and benchmarks are true, you'll want to upgrade, because this shit is seriously is making Intel shaking their boots pretty much. It's like a.
We'll see we'll see what happens if it makes sense.
Yeah, because I've heard a lot of rumors through the grapevine, and it's looking good.
Okay.
It's looking good for my AMD stock right now. Yeah.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah, we're talking the high-end CPU. If the rumors are true, 8 cores, 16 threads, at 4 gigahertz, out of the box, for $500, which the Intel equivalent is over 1,000. Sign me up, daddy.
Wow.
So
that's a lot of power.
Yeah, I'm pumped. Because AMD might actually be in the game again.
Yeah, it's good. We've been talking about it for how many years in this podcast? When is AMD going to really be squarely back in the game? If like you said, if this comes to fruition, they're more than back in the game.
Maybe this is actually a good signal. Maybe this, if you want to view this generously or positively towards AMD, this could actually be a good thing, that they're basically saying, look, we're not going to worry about an operating system that is pretty much unsupported at this point by Microsoft. We're going to focus all our development effort on one platform to kind of streamline and focus, in a way that historically they haven't, right? Their drivers have been a bit inferior historically. So this could actually.
You were so kind. You were so.
That's what I mean. This could actually be a good signal that they're saying, look, we're gonna get rid of the old stuff, and we're gonna really focus and hone in on making sure that our new stuff works well on current gen. So that could be actually a positive signal, but not great news if you're a Windows 7 holdout.
Well, I never thought I would say this, but I may I may be upgrading my OS for AMD. What? Is this gonna happen?
Never would
Literally,
have thought
Timmy in
you'd
the
be
chat
saying that
just
2
no.
years
Timmy
ago.
just jokingly said that in the chat, and now I'm actually. You're saying if the rumors are true, I mean, who would have thought, man? AMD causing me to upgrade my OS. That's crazy. That's never say never. All right, we got a couple other quick things here. Real quick in regards to Overwatch Game of the Year. Yeah, I got it. Game of the Year in 2016 and 2017 and every year after. Overwatch is getting a server browser, so that's cool if you play games. I guess that's pretty cool for you.
Wow.
You guys want to say anything else?
Well,
No,
I put this in because I was surprised.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised that Overwatch is putting in a server browser this late in the game.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they haven't had one, and the game's done fine. It's done really well. It's surprising to me that they're actually now going to add in a server browser when you would think that, their matchmaking and stuff, that they would want people to do that.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
if you watch the dev update, it was basically because like they got so many requests and so many requests for their custom game modes that they currently have, and changes they want to try out and stuff like that. They were like, well, we can't just push out a new game mode every week and then hope for the best. Instead, like a more efficient way of doing that is letting people have a little more freedom and host their own like little sessions, and then kind of get more feedback, see what works and stuff like that.
All of that makes total sense. It's just
But
that made sense before the launch of the game.
This isn't replacing like quick map.
No, I know. I'm just surprised because a lot of games now are foregoing server browsers in favor of just matchmaking, and I actually like that this will now provide a data point that the server browser is still really valuable. Like you can't, when you only have matchmaking, you've got to be really careful with the changes that you want to make because you don't really have a testing ground. Like you've got to really decide what is going to get a high enough player base to be worthwhile for a new matchmaking queue. So that's why I find it interesting. It's just that Overwatch finds it valuable enough that they're going to add in a server browser, which a lot of games now don't even bother with. Like they just do matchmaking. And I'm still, I'm old school. I like having a server browser where I can, I can star my favorite servers and realize that's maybe somewhat of an antiquated way to be playing online games in 2017, but maybe not so antiquated after all. Overwatch giving me what I want there. Other piece of Blizzard news real quick. I thought this was interesting. So you've been able to trade WoW playtime tokens for gold for a while in WoW. So like basically WoW sort of just I guess legitimized sort of gold purchasing in this first party way. But now instead of just being able to use that on WoW, you can now get BattleNet currency through WoW tokens. So that's pretty awesome. Pretty much like if you play a ton of WoW and you have a bunch of extra gold, like you can basically exchange you can essentially exchange WoW gold for these tokens and then turn those into BattleNet balance. Because 30 days of game time is like $15 basically. So I think this is going to make, I think changes like this will make Blizzard games more sticky to people, because when you can, like when the actions in one game can affect what you can do or get out of another game that Blizzard makes, I feel like that just makes you want to always play Blizzard games, right? Because like you could always be doing something that benefits you in another Blizzard game. So I think it's a super smart move for them. And I mean, there's a whole bunch of people with extra WoW gold. So for a lot of, I don't know what the auction house did once they announced this change, but I bet there's like one person out there who bought a whole bunch of tokens like right before they announced this, and now like just basically banked huge, because I'm sure the prices have gone up a ton since now you can
Yeah,
use them for a whole bunch of other things.
I saw the best comment or whatever was such garbage that this wasn't done with no warning on a Monday morning. Of course, they already sold out. Like,
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
I'll actually have to look up and see what the price change was, but I bet it was massive. So anyway, now you can, if you play. Oh, Alexa, for some reason thought I was talking to her.
Dang, dude.
All right.
Alexa always listening.
Always looking out for you.
She was just making sure I was okay. And then we have moving from Blizzard to Activision. I thought this might trigger you a little bit, or maybe not. I mean, this is this should be positive news. But this year's Call of Duty will return back to its roots. That's from an Activision earnings call.
About time.
Because their senior vice president of investor relations admitted that Infinite Warfare, quote, wasn't the success we planned.
Damn.
Damn. That's a
roasted.
That's about I feel like that's about as flat an admission of failure that you're going to get from a company like Activision.
For some perspective, it reads, one tracking company claimed in November that the game had sold 50% less than its predecessor, Black Ops 3 at launch.
Ouch.
Ooh. And Sean
it's almost like this franchise has been beaten into the fucking ground and it should just fucking die. It's almost like people are over Call of Duty and maybe you should work on just different, like, I know they won't. Okay, no, this one doesn't trigger me because I knew when I watched a fucking robot in space shooting laser beam guns that where else are they going to go? What are they going to literally, what can they do? They can't go anywhere else. They went to fucking space. Where, like, I don't, like, we're going to be interdimensionally, like, jumping in black holes and going to different galaxies next? Like, they can't. So
I think we
talked about it.
We talked about it too before they launched, that it felt like bundling Modern Warfare Remastered would potentially be a disaster. So I think some of the signs were there, but it's clear that, like, I think if anything, I guess you take one of two strategies from here. You either take a bigger risk than you thought, like than you would in the past, or you just do the thing the old games did, right? You like basically make a gameplay like Call of Duty or like Call of Duty 4 or something, right? And so I don't know what taking Call of Duty back to its roots means, because like what are Call of Duty's roots?
Well, they can't though.
I think it's like the world at work kind of
like but its roots. I feel like Call of Duty's roots are saying you're going to make the game a lot simpler. Like if you think about its roots, were, class-based, combat, but it was like, it was kill streaks, and like that's basically it, like classes and kill streaks.
See, I read this as maybe not having the additional axis of like being able to jump into the fucking sky and ride walls and shit. I took it as like, okay, they're not going to go that far out and hopefully just actually keep people on the ground. Like,
when they say their roots though, like, what are you talking? Like, are we talking about modern, like Call of Duty 4?
That's a good point. That's a good point. Like, are you talking? I mean, are you talking like Call of Duty the first one? Because that was like a Medal of Honor competitor back in the day. Right. So like, what is its roots? Is it like its modern roots or its actual like Call of Duty 1 and 2 roots?
So I want to add some perspective where you have to remember that Call of Duty's on this lagging 3-year development cycle where they have 3 different studios pumping out a game every year. So we're seeing, like, right now, in my opinion, I think we're seeing some of the sci-fi shit right now from Call of Duty because that's what was popular in 2013, 2014. Look at Destiny, for instance. Like, that was such a success. They probably saw that. It was like, okay, people want sci-fi games. They want to be in space. They want to be shooting futuristic weapons, whatever. And that's why we saw like what we have right now. And now I think people are seeing like the success of Battlefield 1, where
Yeah,
it's
no, true.
and now they're going to be like, okay, obviously people are over the sci-fi bullshit.
Yeah,
We're going to go quote
we're
unquote
ready for the
back to our
cycle of
roots.
going back to the which would obviously the roots would be, World War II, all that stuff.
Right.
I don't know. It goes back. This is what every time this gets brought up, and we talked about on my cast this week too. It's like it's like when people have come to expect you to make the game crazier and crazier every year, and you have taken that to the absolute extreme with Infinite Warfare, in the sense of like all the axes that you can fight on, and guns killing instantly and all this stuff, which has been a kind of stay in Call of Duty for a lot of years now, and all the different perks you can do, and it's fucking insane. So you're going to tell me that people are going to be happy with a product? I'm not saying they won't be, but that strips a lot of that stuff away. Like, the game is so I would argue bogged down with the amount of shit that can kill you, whether it's kill streaks, whether it's what is this person using as their fucking attachment to then the perks. Like, are people going to be happy? Like, how are they going to find the balance? Like, when they say go back to the roots, I agree, it's a very vague statement, but can they take a lot of that stuff out of the game, and will people go, oh wow, they just basically put out Call of Duty 4 again? And obviously they did the remastered version and all that stuff. I get that.
Yeah,
But
that's what I wonder about this, is like taking
they've
Call of
already
Duty
kind
back
of
to its
taken
roots. They tried that. It's just the way they tried it seemed to fail
Was
pretty badly.
because they
Modern Warfare Remastered, that's literally like what I would think of as taking Call of Duty back to its roots. So
Yes.
I don't know what this means, because I'm guessing it means probably like not the crazy movement and the ridiculous stuff they've added when they've gone into space. But
Yeah.
I don't know what they see as traditional in this context.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've said this before, but I'm surprised that we haven't yet seen them just turn Call of Duty into Call of Duty. Like, that the game is Call of Duty, and it is just a game that exists and that they build on over time, instead of
like
putting
packs
out
and stuff. Yeah.
instead of putting out a new $60 game every year. Like, I think it's possible that is what we'll see now, right? It was before they were selling so much that clearly they wouldn't change that strategy. But
Right.
if they had a 50% fewer sales than Black Ops 3, then maybe they're ready to take that risk of just turning Call of Duty into a franchise that, like, I think would really bolster it. If they didn't have that game changing so radically from year to year.
I had to laugh out loud reading it. We don't usually do this, but Coney Hawk just said, because when I said where else could they take this, right? The main character in the new COD will get sucked into a black hole in the future, in the black hole in his spaceship, and will teleport back to Chernobyl with soap. But really, like, that's where they would have to go. Like, like, again, black hole, teleportation, time travel, which I think they've already done. I haven't played the campaigns in a while, but I'm sure time travel is a part of the campaigns at some point in the last 3 games. So it's just, I can't stress. There are so, okay, this is the other thing. You are gonna make me rant, Brandon. Rant. There are so many better fucking shooters out there that you can play that aren't Call of Duty, that have a much higher skill ceiling, that are far more rewarding, that deserve your money. Okay, and I'm not like a whatever. Like, yes, like Valve is a big ass company and a big honcho and all that shit. I'm not saying like just because it's Activision you shouldn't buy Call of Duty or whatever else. And if you enjoy it, that's fine. Enjoy it for what it is. But there is just, I don't understand the rationale of people. Obviously, if you enjoy it, that's fine. But there's just so many options. Even if you're not going to play like a bigger game like Counter-Strike Global Offensive at this point, or even something like Rainbow Six. But there's so many other shooters you can play as well that can scratch that itch, man. I feel like, and so it's just and I think that's the other reason. Battlefield 1, a perfect example. Like, okay, yes, DICE and whatever, they can do questionable things at times, but and we talked about Battlefield 1 sales kind of biting into the Call of Duty sales, and I think that really was a real thing, part of the 50% drop that you're seeing. like there's just I don't understand continuing to hitch yourself to the Call of Duty wagon every year.
Like,
Like
don't you think that at a certain point it makes sense to just hone in on the
Yeah,
reason people
I do.
play COD, which is like that right now? I feel like that changes every year, right? The movement
does.
changes drastically every year. The guns, everything changes so drastically. I feel like they would benefit from the stability that you see,
Yes.
like the relative stability that you see in other games, right? Like
Yes.
Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike is changing over time, but it's
Right.
changing in fairly small ways compared to the ways that Call of Duty is changing year
Sure.
on year. So I think that I think it would strengthen their esports scene. I think it would strengthen people's desire to play because they know that, all right, this is the game. Like if I get good at this game, there's a decent chance I'll still be good at it, 2 years from now. Whereas right
Mhm.
now, you're playing 2 years from now, you're playing literally a completely different game. And I think that is going to be the thing that hurts them, is that like that inconsistency year on year, when every other game is honing and polishing their product to be even better year on year. And Call of Duty is still, they're having to iron out day one bugs, every single year, because they're literally putting out a new product every single year.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to. It'll be really interesting to see. And I agree because we've talked about this before, like you said, and it didn't make sense in the past. It's exactly what you're stating. It didn't make sense in the past for them to do this because they were selling so many copies. And even with them selling 50% less copies, obviously, I'm sure with the like what they pay for development and advertising and everything else, that's probably a big. But again, like when you consider how like what is 50% less of how many millions of copies they sell, like it's still a pretty big.
50% less is a pretty.
But
that's
a big number.
I think
No,
that's
you're right.
that's what makes 50% all that much more damning if it's true.
Yeah.
Because you think about how many copies they sell in absolute terms. 50% less
True.
is like true catastrophe.
Yeah, you're right. I guess for them it would be.
But again, that's one source. We don't know the actual numbers. But even if it's like 20%, that I think is pretty nuts. Which we can continue talking about this, but there's a good segue into a second little quick hit about Activision. Is they laid off about 20 people from Infinity Ward, I think Infinity Ward, Beanox, and Treyarch. So that was like 5% of Activision Publishing's workforce. So Activision Publishing, I guess, is like, that's just one arm within Activision. But laying off 20 people, it's not. You don't do that in good times necessarily.
Right.
So it's like I think we will see changes, right? If you lay off anyone, that feels like you've got to make some structural changes, because you don't just want to be laying off people. And if they're in a spot where that is a reality, then I feel like someone's probably sounding the alarm bells and being like, we've got to shift our strategy, because like there's a real, I feel like, let's say sales are down for one game, but they're down pretty significantly. Like, unless you bounce back next year, there's a real non-zero chance that in 4 to 5 years, Call of Duty is completely irrelevant. Like we're not there yet.
Yeah.
We're not there today. Call of Duty is still Call of Duty is still a juggernaut. But like, I think if you're Activision, you have to be really legitimately concerned that like Call of Duty is a shadow of its former self in like 5 years, unless you change course.
No, and I agree, and I think that's where it comes in. Like, maybe not this next game. Maybe the next game won't be just like you said, just them dropping all the fucking Call of Duty, Infinite Warfare, whatever the different brandings that they have from the different developers. But that they do just make one game that, like you said, evolves over time and can be generally followed. Like, okay, if I play this game in 2 years, it's still going to be, Call of Duty. So
I say, I know they're listening, like all the, the people in the industry listen to the KBMOD podcast, of course.
They have to.
All the time.
I say get into some new IPs, man. I think that's the one thing
too.
Keeping me from playing Call of Duties is like, dude, just $60 for another like copy and paste, basically. Maybe have a new weapons or
Right.
kill streaks or something. But like, let's see some new IPs, experiment a little, and like I don't know. Every year it feels the same when I watch streams or something. It's just like this doesn't look any different. I'm not interested in playing this anymore. Like,
Yeah.
if you want me to buy your games again, like make something new. Like, don't just tweak the formula a little. Like, you have crazy amount of talent. Like, do something.
That's why I think it's got to be a little scary for them to be having to take such big risks year on year with Call of Duty. Like, Call of Duty is such a big franchise for them that you want that to be stable in a way that I feel like it's not when you're putting out such different products year to year. And if you just had one game where you were building on it as a base, I feel like that would be a lot more stable. Maybe like you don't make quite as much revenue off of it or something, but like maybe the stability makes up for it. That you don't have to be as concerned with these massive swings. You know, you don't have to worry about whether it's going to sell 50% less than last year's version, because you're trying to sell in a different way. You know, you're trying to sell cosmetic items, and you're trying to get people to spend, you know, another $10 here, another $15 here, instead of just asking for a big $60 chunk once a year. Because I feel like the way that people spend time and money on games is just changing over time. Like, I'm less likely to spend money on a game that I don't think is going to have a long lifespan. I'd be a lot more likely to spend money in Call of Duty if I knew that money would be worth something, you know, a few years from now. Right? I don't really play League of Legends, but I've spent some money on League of Legends. I still have all the skins that I bought in League of Legends like 2 years ago. You know, like, that money is still working for me if I wanted to play that game.
Yeah.
I think Call of Duty would benefit a lot from that, because I might not play it that often, but I want something that I can come back to after a couple of years, you know, and still get value out of that money that I spent on the game. I think more and more that's what customers are expecting.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on it, and I'm excited. Like, I shouldn't say that I'm rooting for Call of Duty to fail, because that's maybe a little bit too jaded. But I mean, but Activision hasn't really, you know.
No, I think they should fail, because when companies fail, they innovate. You know, they try something.
Sure.
New.
Yeah, and in that sense, I do want it, because I agree with you. I think it's time for a new IP, or at the very least, like you said, they have to go to making one game that they slowly increment on, and like go the model of like a CS:GO or whatever else. Because
I say that because I'm the type of customer they could get back. You know, like we used to play a lot of Call of Duty together, you know, several years ago. And the only reason, like, I feel like everyone, exactly. Like, we used to be making YouTube videos and streaming and stuff, and we had a lot of fun playing Call of Duty. And I feel like that fatigue hit all of us, where it was just like, I don't want to spend another $60 on this thing, you know? But I feel like if they made a strong game and just built on that foundation, like, then Call of Duty would be a game that I actually would probably play with my friends again, in a way that I don't right now. So I'm not rooting for them to fail. I want them to make a game that I, the consumer, actually care about again. And I don't care about Call of Duty at all right now.
When I think about Call of Duty, like, right now, and as far as like going back to the roots, just when I see that, what I'm honestly expecting is just something like, you know, toned down on movement, toned down on, like, you know, ridiculous perks and things like that. So probably something World War II or like Vietnam era. But there's so much nostalgia to play into with like old school Call of Duties. There's just so much potential there. I just really hope they, like, we've seen, you know, how good Call of Duty can be, you know, when done right. So I'm just hoping you can capture that magic again.
Yeah. All right. So a little bit of positivity being spread by Katie towards
some optimism.
Activision. Yeah, some optimism.
I want this game to suck.
I want you to parlay that optimism directly into the new releases, Katie. Go ahead.
Here we go. Speaking of optimism, For Honor. No, you guys had some positive things to say about it, right? We talked about this earlier.
I mean, I think it's going to be a total disaster.
Okay.
In the sense of, I think sales wise, I don't think it's going to sell what they think it's going to sell. I don't think it's a bad game. I think
It's not a $60 game.
I think it's a $15-$20 game with the dual mode. I don't think
Yeah.
I don't know. But I don't know how much they put into it too. But I won't be buying it, and almost everybody I talked to wasn't going to buy it for $60 either. So to me, and there was a lot of, I mean, they had an open beta and tons of people were playing it, and not a single person I talked to said they were going to pay $60. So I think that's a situation where the open beta actually hurt the game, which we didn't even get into, which would have been an interesting topic to talk about. But they almost showed too much, and what they showed, people were like, well, this isn't enough. So anyway, that's a whole nother discussion, that like risk reward of an open beta.
Well, Scott, For Honor, might be interested to know, is not following Steam's best practices for videos and screenshots. I am looking through all of their screenshots, and I do not see a single actual in-game screenshot. It is all rendered footage. So, I think we can. That's a good barometer sometimes for how confident a game is. Because I don't see a single actual screenshot of the HUD and what the game actually looks like. I see a bunch of screenshots from a nice rendered trailer.
Yeah. Also, if you really want to support Ubisoft, you can buy the For Honor Gold Edition for $100. I don't know what you get; they don't even tell you, but you might as well just do it. $100.
You might as well just do it.
Honestly, if anybody that watches my stream or this podcast or is involved in this community, if we out somebody who paid for the $100 Gold Edition of For Honor, we're just gonna ban them. No questions asked. Okay, you just don't tell me if you did it. All right, we're not gonna be able to talk anymore because that's insane.
Well, the Gold Edition is apparently the game and the season pass.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I'm reading this.
Of
I feel like I'm
course.
trying to,
But I actually kind of love that, like, you just see 3 options, and around those options you see no details. You have
There's
to scroll
no details.
down. You have to scroll down and click down below the fold in the details section to see what the difference is.
God damn.
I feel like I'm trying to decipher a puzzle, like reading what you get with this. Like Gold Edition, you get the game, the season pass, and the deluxe pack. Okay, what's in the deluxe pack? Oh, you get the deluxe edition is day 1 content with the deluxe pack. Well, nothing tells you what that is, but if you scroll up, you see if you pre-order, you get the Legacy Battle Pack, which is 3 unique armor designs. Okay.
Hard.
What is the deluxe pack? What is the season pass? Please. No, but yeah, I mean, so did we get like a taste of the single player at all in the beta for this, or was it just strictly multiplayer?
I'm pretty sure the single player is just multiplayer modes with bots.
Oh
and
no!
bosses.
Yeah, that's
But it
what
says it's got a memorable story campaign.
I'm pretty sure it's just Titanfall over again.
We'll see. Yeah,
That's
I'm
how
getting
it
the
is.
vibe that it's going to be Titanfall, but maybe they could prove us wrong. Maybe they'll prove us wrong. Maybe it's going to be one of the best campaigns of all time. I just don't have much
Hope.
The other thing I forgot to say
Titanfall
is, as
2.
much as I like to shit on Ubisoft and Uplay and everything else, I didn't mention that I've been playing shit tons of Rainbow Six still, which is like one of my new shooter loves. Like Rainbow Six is a fantastic game, and that's also made and published by Ubisoft. So as much as like shit I'll give them, I have to say Rainbow Six is good, but this one I don't have as much hope in. So I'm not totally biased.
Okay. But yeah, if you want to get your hands on For Honor, comes out on the 14th. And next up, we've got Sniper Elite 4, which I feel like APL should really take this. You put quite a lot of time into this and the Nazi Zombie trilogy.
Yeah, Sniper Elite, incredible engine. And Sark and I just texted today about. He literally texted me. He said, "Don't you fucking touch Sniper Elite until we can record videos together." I was like, "I won't do anything with it."
Awesome.
So we're gonna be doing a recording session with that. I'm excited, but yeah, Sniper Elite games are fantastic, especially the zombie ones. And it's not like a super big team or anything over there that make it. So that's another thing that's kind of cool. So I'm excited for this.
Yeah, I've always
Very
been
ready.
impressed with like the quality like at launch of Rebellion's games. Like all the Sniper Elites have been like extremely well polished.
Yeah, they really are.
Just like that they seem to focus on this one aspect of the game really well. Like it's
Yes,
a really
they do.
interesting sniping game. Like nothing else about it is really super noteworthy in my experience, but there's like no better sniping experience if that's the thing you're looking for.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, they know exactly what they're doing. Their engine shines, built around the bullet time and all that stuff, and the damage modeling and everything. It's just, I'm ready. I'm excited to get back into it. So,
Although again, I'm going to call them out. I see no actual in-game screenshots. These are all rendered screenshots.
Damn.
Shit.
And I'm
So-
watching the first trailer on. I just autoplayed the first trailer, and while I will admit someone did get quickscoped in the trailer, it is all just cutscene.
Yeah, so far.
Gotta get
Come
better
on,
with
Val,
better
you're
with your
taking out green
screenshots.
light. We gotta police this. You're taking out green light, but these chumps,
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, Sniper Elite 4 also comes out February 14th. Now, for the rest of this, we've got the rest of this new release section. We got some indie games. Originally, this was looking kind of sparse, but I took another look, and there's actually a lot of gold this week. This is like the first week of 2017 where these indie games are looking mighty promising.
Valentine's Day, man. Everyone's in the mood. Get those games out there. Play with your loved one.
Yeah, your loved games. We're trying to get today. So we've got this game's called Boor, Boor. Let me see. I didn't add this one, so I didn't get too good of a look at it. It's a 2D puzzle platformer where you play as someone with the ability to multiply themselves. So like puzzles kind of play into that, like trying to hit multiple, like switches at the same
I
time.
added it because it reminded me kind of like of Limbo a little bit, like sort of
I
that
can see
2D aesthetic with some puzzles.
You think the little girl is gonna get impaled by a spider?
Well, I mean, no, not exactly, but just the it was it's like kind of black and white with with just some color accents. And so it looked like Limbo, and it looked kind of like a neat 2D puzzle game.
Oh yeah, it's a pretty beautiful game. But yeah, no word on a price yet, but that also comes out on February 14th. All right, and next up, this game is called Kopoka. I have to spell it again, Copoka. This is an open world exploration game where you play as a bird flying through a city collecting twigs to build your nest. Now, at first glance, this kind of seems like, okay, what's the point? I'm just flying around. Am I supposed to play this when I'm, fucking smoked out of my mind? Or no. There's actually the town you fly through. There's some sort of political, intriguing story, some revolution going on. So when you're flying through, you can eavesdrop on some conversations of the citizens and try to piece the story together from just being, a silent observer. And I really like how it phrases it. And like the about this game, it says, "Of course, it's all up to you if you wish to stop and listen. After all, what are human concerns to a bird anyway?" It's pretty witty and cool.
Okay. All right.
So definitely a lot of potential with this one if there's a cool story going on. But yeah, February 15th on that one.
You know what? And these look like proper in-game screenshots from at least from what I can tell. 'Cause it doesn't look like
there you
there's really a
go.
HUD or anything, because you're literally just
Yes.
a bird. So these look like convincing in-game screenshots to me.
Watch these all be just like bump maps and it's RPG Maker and it's all like just parallax backgrounds. But yeah, hopefully not. And next up, this isn't really a game, but it looks kind of cool. Thought it was worth throwing in here. It's called Artisy Draft.
Yeah, what the hell?
And yeah, this is some kind of software for it seems like it helps a certain group of game developers if you're working on a story, or maybe not necessarily for a game, if you're just any kind of narrative that's pretty non-linear or that involves like branching paths in it. It's got like within the software you can control and like basically organize your story and like have different branching paths of where it goes. and mainly just for like taking notes and reference.
It
And
looks like
there
it's
are
like
things
for organization and the visual aid of like if you have a complex, story and like
Yeah.
organizing your game together. It's kind of cool though.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah, for sure. And like the reviews from some lesser known indie companies, Osmotic Studios and Helm Systems, saying like it was a tremendous help in creating our highly complex game flow, saved us a lot of time and energy. So, and it also has some direct export of some of its stuff into Unity. So this could be a help if you're tackling a pretty big project and game development, want to keep your story connected.
Did you highlight this because you're actually transitioning Door to be created in this tool,
Yeah.
Barn Door Quest?
Oh, that's right. The story about Barn Door Quest is it's pretty one note, but with something like this,
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's the
might be
thing.
able to-
You were potentially held back by the tool at your disposal. So
Mm.
if you have this tool
Exactly.
instead, where you can retain control over nonlinear stories, write interactive dialogues fluently, and test your story logic early on, I mean, that changes the game, does it not?
Oh yeah, I'm thinking now Barn Door Quest will have some kind of time travel mechanic and maybe 17 different endings,
Okay.
all thanks to this software.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing we found it.
Yes, finally. But yeah, nothing for a price here. But this comes out It comes out on February 16th. So yeah, pretty promising there. This next game, got a couple more. This game is called Bucket Detective.
Yeah.
It's made by Jesse Barksdale. You may not know his previous game that was free on Steam. It was called The Static Speaks My Name. It's a pretty weird, not really well done game about coping with stress and suicide. It was pretty weird. I played it, and it's kind of like a pseudo horror, but nothing really. It's weird. Anyways, so this game's called Bucket Detective. It's a dark comedy horror game where you have to help a cult complete a ritual in exchange for divine inspiration to finish writing your terrible novel. And it says it's a mostly linear experience, which takes around 45 minutes to complete. So it's pretty upfront with you. So
Definitely didn't
mean-
expect the not safe for work warning on a game
Yeah.
called Bucket Detective.
Yeah, and then you see the nudity tag also. So
Yeah, that one
if
definitely
this is any
took me by surprise.
Yeah, this is, and for a game like this, I'm really happy to see that it includes developer audio commentary, because that's something I really wanted to like. The story for the first game wasn't, I mean, there wasn't really much of a story. I just want to know what this guy was thinking when he put this together. So yeah, and then there are like multiple endings, it says. So I mean, I'm not sure if it'll be free or not. I mean, the first game was free, but I don't know. Maybe he's garnered some interest. Maybe that was his plan all along. Make it a pretty obscure game, make it free, and now he's got people seeing this going like, "Oh, he made Static Speaks My Name. I'll throw some money at this dude." Genius. This game comes out February 16th. And lastly is a game called The Moose Man, which is an award winner from some game jams. This game, like dev game in Moscow. It's kind of a moody, atmospheric 2D exploration game. You have the ability to see all that is hidden to the mortal eye, and there are 3 layers to the universe. Story, yada yada yada. There's it's cool. It's atmospheric. It's neat, and looks like it's got some really great music behind it. And I say this, but I haven't heard a single bit of Comey music in my life. But it's got a deep atmosphere of folk Comey music. So if you're into folk Comey music, this is the game for you.
That's all I've listened to, man. It's my genre.
That's all on your Spotify.
When I'm not listening to sick EDM drops. So Spotify. Nice.
This one comes out February.
Visually it looks really, really cool looking.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, it comes out 17th, and that's going to do it for the new releases. That was a long one. That might have been my longest one ever.
That was a lot of games. Look at that.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna have to put that Kapoka on my wish list. I hope that's good.
Yeah, I did that too. There's actually a couple titles I added on mine.
Awesome.
Very nice. All right. Let's get into the viewer questions. Our first one comes from Darkwing02, who asks us, since avocado is a fruit, should guacamole be considered a fruit salad? Um,
Interesting question.
mm,
If you think about the actual ingredients in guacamole,
yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's got.
it's not
So-
completely a fruit salad.
Wikipedia calls guacamole is an avocado-based dip or salad, first created by the Aztecs.
Wow.
So I mean,
okay. It uses the word salad.
Huh.
Hmm.
I feel
yeah.
significantly unqualified to answer this question.
just have you never had it before?
had guacamole?
I've never had guacamole.
What? Wait,
And,
what?
No,
What?
I
That's
just
never had guacamole. I've
What?
had queso for the first time just
Hold-
a couple days ago.
What? You've
Case.
actually
My life
you've
was
actually
Case.
never had guacamole?
No, I mean I've had avocado,
surprises me at
but
this
I've
point.
never had guacamole.
What?
That to me is the least shocking. I can imagine Katie. Queso though. Queso
Yes,
is pretty
listen,
basic.
I went to this place called La Parada, and
Wait,
they bring out-
what? Called what?
and I was with a bunch of people, and someone else ordered some chips and queso. And honestly,
Okay.
I don't really like Mexican food that much.
dude,
so
My
it's
God, it's not
for
even
me.
Mexican.
No. That's why. So that's why I've never. I know it's not Mexican
Okay.
food, but because
Okay.
it's really commonly associated with
Do you
it.
not like the spice or what? What?
I just don't like the spice. It's in everything. I mean, I don't know, it just doesn't. And eating a taco. Can we talk about how cumbersome it is to just eat a simple taco?
Oh, my
Wait, hold
God.
on. Are you
But that's-
like are
that's
you
a subject for
equating all Mexican food because you don't like the inconvenience of eating a taco? Like, is that why
That's one part
you
of
are
it. That's
casting
one part of it.
aspersions on
Yes.
Mexican food?
No, I don't like
Let's
the
just
taste
talk-
as well.
talk
The
for a
taste of
second.
taco.
let's just talk for a second. An authentic taco isn't going to be your hard shell out of the box shell. Katie's in. Like,
Yeah, yeah. No, you're gonna eat a. Oh God. Yeah,
You're gonna come to Texas and you're gonna have some Tex-Mex.
we're
I
gonna
swear to
make
God,
it-
if you don't,
Okay.
if you
or
you
California,
don't even know,
like anywhere.
Hold on. You can't say you don't like Mexican food when you've
'Cause you've never
literally
had it.
never even had guacamole. Like, just do not. Like, let me.
You've
do you,
offended Brandon.
Let me do you a favor. Let me do you a favor and don't tell anyone else that you don't like Mexican food, because then the truth might get out that you haven't even had guacamole, and they're going to laugh in your face, and you will lose all credibility. You're among friends here, so I'm glad that we got this out of the way. Like, I'm not going to judge you negatively, but others will.
Well, thank you for looking out for me, man.
That is.
So, anyways, I tried some queso.
You
and it
need to
was
have guacamole.
Fantastic.
You need to. They sell guacamole at the grocery store. Okay, I know they have guacamole in Indiana.
Well,
Fix this.
most likely.
Okay. Dude.
And you know what? Before next podcast, I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna have some guac.
Yeah, do it. And then
It is
report back.
delicious. It is delicious.
I mean, you've had avocado. Do you like avocado?
Yeah.
Okay, then
Oh
you'll
my
love
God,
guac.
guac is gonna blow your mind.
Yeah, guac is gonna, dude. You better just wear 2 pairs of underwear because you're gonna jizz in your pants once you have some
Okay,
guac.
I'm ready. Because I
You'll like
didn't
it.
know anything about queso, and then when I tried that, I was
Dude.
addicted to it.
If you thought queso was good,
Just you wait.
Just get
Oh, don't
ready.
tell me that. Oh, now my expectations are going to be through the roof, and I'm going to take a bite.
no. That's the beauty of guacamole is it will meet and exceed your expectations. Like, aside from I don't know that I've had like bad guacamole, right? Aside from
It's hard to fuck. Unless it's like
really,
turned.
Yeah,
or
like
something.
yeah. If assuming it is not like spoiled, I don't think I've ever had guacamole where I was like, I don't care for that. Like it's
Yeah.
because the worst guacamole is literally just avocados. Like it's literally that's all it is. So it's only improvement on the base recipe of avocados.
Okay. So I'm probably not going to get like guac like made at my home. So what would be the best place to go out and get some? Like,
I mean,
do
do you have a
like, off the top of
Mexican
your
like
head?
if you have a Mexican restaurant that's like moderately
Okay. I mean,
authentic?
If you have like a
Yeah,
like
there
a
are.
decent Mexican restaurant, or I mean, Like
do
literally,
it in
you
the
you could
grocery
just
store.
go to the supermarket and get like if your supermarket
version.
sells like fresh,
Mm.
fresh guacamole. I would say don't for your first experience, don't get something that's in a package, that comes from somewhere frozen or whatever. Like get something fresh.
Yeah, for sure.
But even if it's just fresh from the supermarket, like that's fine. Usually, in my experience, that stuff's pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try some. And I'll
Do it.
report back.
This is actually pretty important. I cannot believe
I
cannot believe like someone of your age in America hasn't had guacamole. How is that possible?
I mean, I stopped being shocked after his first experience with fries was Wendy's fondue.
But here's
Like,
the thing,
I
though.
lost
But
my-
that's no.
No,
that
that
was his
was-
first experience with fondue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Fondue,
that's what
I
I
feel
mean.
like is like a fairly niche thing.
That's true. Fondue is
Guacamole
more
is a
is more-
national pastime.
I never knew Brandon felt so strongly on guacamole.
I don't know. I've just somehow
come to-
skirted by my whole life without really having guacamole.
Like you can get. I mean, just think of all the places you can get guacamole. Like you can get. They serve guacamole in every Chipotle in the country.
True. Any like
Yeah.
Chipotle,
Just
Adobo.
go to TwitchCon. And there'll be some Mexican food there.
Oh, for sure.
That's
I
true.
mean, like
be
for
21 by
this
then.
experiment,
Oof.
you can go to Chipotle and just ask for guac on the side and like have it with chips or something, or have it in your
Yeah,
burrito.
okay.
Yeah.
Like even just Chipotle guac is fine.
Huh. Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right, I'll do it.
There's so much of life that you haven't experienced yet, and we just peel it away a layer at a time.
Layer at a time, dude. He's gonna
Yeah.
be the most well-rounded human ever after we're done with KD. It's gonna be-
Be a completely different person.
I envy him a bit because he has these big jumps in his life where like he's
Like, he
able to
gets to-
experience something for the
Yeah.
first time.
Exactly.
Like I feel like I'm at this point I'm just jaded. Like I know what I've had so much stuff that's like really good and great. Like there's no
Yeah.
new experiences to be had.
You'll never have that feeling of eating guacamole for the first
for the
time.
first time. No,
Ever
it's
again.
true. It's true. There's
And
a lot
that's
of firsts that KD's
And that's
in
the
still
thing.
gets to
I
do.
had it so long ago that I don't even remember what the first time was like. I was
Me
a
either.
child.
I don't
didn't
remember.
Even, I didn't even appreciate it. You get
I
to
don't remember my
fully-
first time anymore.
You get to fully, truly appreciate it in a way that I will never get to experience because I was
I'm
I was a
slut.
kid. I took it for granted.
I'm such a slut for guac. I don't remember my first time. So many lovers since the first. God damn it, dude. My pico de gallo. I don't remember my first pico de gallo experience. I don't.
See,
Fuck,
that's the
that's
thing.
awesome.
I've just always lived my life with these things that I don't even know what it's like to experience them for the first
That's
time.
true.
I
That's
don't
true.
remember being a guac virgin.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't remember. I know I definitely was at some point. I don't know when it happened, but yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Darkwing, for that question and triggering Brandon very heavily there. It's good to and getting KD some more life
Such
experience.
an innocent question too, and we learn these deep secrets.
These
The
life
revelations.
All right. So at POF_33 says, there's no question mark. What is the best type of chicken space to eat?
So I'm glad you caught up on the double spaces here. So we copy, paste, and read as they were sent to us. So
Right.
at some point I think he deleted something. Like I'm
think you're right.
speculating. Tim Foyle's back on. I think
okay.
what is the best chicken? So first I have to think, what were you wanting to say, POF33? What did you want us to tell us? But then he just asked us what's the best chicken to eat. So
I'm glad that he clarified what is the best type of chicken to eat, as opposed to the other things that you do with chickens that we might have different answers for.
Yeah. Was it? Best type of chicken to eat? Like, again, I mean, so is he talking about the way that it's prepared? Is he
I would
talking about the way
assume
that it's raised.
I would assume it's the way it's prepared.
I'm gonna guess he probably doesn't care about our chicken raising preferences.
Free range.
But I don't know.
any
Maybe he's looking to create his own chicken operation and wants to make sure that he's going to have us as customers.
He could.
Well, this is kind of what I think started the chicken thread for
Yes.
our tweet.
Yeah.
So let's just get the results in. 44% said grilled or barbecued. 18% said fried into a taco shell. So like the naked the Taco Bell monstrosity. 17 rotisserie caught up. 17% said rotisserie. And then 21% said baked, cloud emoji, crying laughing emoji, and then okay emoji.
I mean, it's tough for me to choose. Dude. It depends on the day. Some days I want some of that fried chicken. Some days I'm down for rotisserie. Some days I'm like, yeah, man, I'm about that smoky, about barbecue. And then baked, I would say baked is my least. Like baked chicken can be very good, but I would say that's my least favorite.
Is it?
Oh,
But is
you
it
know what I
only? Is
just
it only
thought?
maybe your least favorite because you don't have it very often?
That's true. I don't eat baked
I
chicken.
feel like
very
baked
often.
chicken's baked chicken's not
can be
something
very
you'll
good.
just find on the menu a lot of places.
Yeah, that's true.
It's more of like
That's
a
true.
home cooked kind of thing.
What about wings? You guys like wings?
Yeah, I love a good wing.
They're fine. But I like boneless though.
Yeah,
We've
I'm
had
over
this
bone.
discussion.
Yeah.
We've had this discussion. I don't even engage in the subject when people tell me they prefer boneless to not to.
What?
I understand the convenience, but flavor wise, it's fucking insanity.
It's more.
'Cause
It's
there's so
more
much
that I feel
flavor
like
in
I
them.
waste a whole lot when it comes to non-boneless
Yeah.
wings. Like I just.
Oh, you got to pick them clean, dude.
I know,
Pick
and
'em
I
till
hate.
there's
That's the
nothing
thing I
left.
hate. That is the part that I hate. I can admit that like wings, bone-in wings can taste really good, but there is a level of effort there that I'm just not willing to commit.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be the guy. I don't want you to look at me sideways because I've left a whole bunch of meat on these wings. Right?
I would too. I would judge. I hate when
Of
people
course
do
you
this.
would. Yeah, you would judge me, and so I just don't. I don't want to get in that situation.
That's fair. That's
I'm on
fair.
that same boat. Yeah.
There's nothing for me like there's no replacement for oh god. Anyway, whatever. That's all right. I feel like there's a lot of people. I'm not saying I won't eat boneless wings, but whenever I have the preference, I'm always going. It depends on the place though too. Some places don't do good bone-in wings.
Yeah, but I feel like because chicken is so versatile. I feel like that you have that everywhere. Like there are some
Yeah, that's
places where
true.
you wouldn't get chicken because they maybe don't do chicken great, but some places the chicken is amazing. And
Yeah,
that's
true.
like that's what comes with chicken being so incredibly versatile. Like I don't know how to answer what is the best type because you can have I mean, I like chicken tenders from a fast food place or whatever. I like wings. I like fried chicken from places. But I also would I would eat a high end, I don't know, baked chicken or something. Like I just feel like chicken comes in so many different shapes and sizes that it's hard to know. It's hard to say what's the best because sometimes it's a really high end meal. Sometimes it's fast food.
I'm gonna say tendies. Gotta have my chicken tendies, dude.
These chicken tendies.
Did you guys ever have those Lunchables chicken dunkers? Where you had like you had like the little chicken nuggets. You had the ketchup and the
Dunkers.
commercial had all the kids.
They're Lunchables
like you bake them
brand?
at home or whatever, or they're Lunchables.
I forget. I think they might have just been ready. Like,
I think
who's
Dunkers
holding
are
it
a
up?
Lunchables brand. I think that was past like Lunchables existed in my time going to elementary school, but they didn't have all the crazy shit like that they have now.
Oh,
And I think
yeah.
Dunkers, I was a little older.
I don't think I've ever encountered a Lunchable that included a chicken product. Always,
Yeah, because
it's
don't they
always
have to be
meat.
heat up? Yeah.
Dude,
Safety
when you
thing.
rolled into school with a Lunchable back in my day, when I went to fucking elementary school, dude, you were the king.
We actually
Oh, yeah.
have a storage fridge of Lunchables at Twitch. I actually
You really?
I
That's
actually
amazing.
eat them more than I would like to admit.
Oh, Lunchable, dude. Man.
Okay.
I don't even know if it's nostalgia. Like, I can't even separate myself from the nostalgia of Lunchables because I'll still buy. Yeah, occasionally I'll see.
No,
I'll be
they're
like, dude,
great.
yeah, I'll eat a
They're still
Lunchable.
really
Yeah,
they're still
great.
really good.
Yeah, I think they taste good, but it's hard for me to know, like, because I don't think I would ever admit that they taste bad. But I don't think I've ever had like a bad Lunchable. They used to have. They did the hamburger. Have you ever seen the hamburger Lunchable?
Yes.
They do like a cold hamburger one, dude. They have crazy. I never would eat those ones. I always was like with like the turkey and cheese or the
That's
ham
the thing.
and cheese.
I'm like
pizza.
I
I
think
would
the
eat the
best
pizza Lunchables.
the pizza one's okay, but it's like
All right.
it's not
It's all right.
it's not nearly as good as just the classic like turkey
I
and
agree.
cheddar or ham and cheddar. Like
Oh,
the
yeah.
original Lunchable
classic.
is just like solid quality. You know what you're getting. Nothing too crazy and exotic.
God, you'd have the ham and cheddar, then you'd have the little shitter next to you that would take one slice of the cheese, and then the ratio would be fucked up. So then you have
See,
only
that is
one
something
ham.
I've never understood. They give you exactly what you need to make
All right.
a set number of Lunchables with a cracker, a piece of cheese, and meat. You
Right.
don't. The worst thing you can do is try and make a sandwich where you use 2 pieces of the bread
Right. Yeah, you did
with
you
only
do.
with only 1 piece of cheese and 1 piece of meat, because
Nope.
then halfway through you're out of it.
Fucked. Had to do the one. You didn't do the sandwich.
You've
had
got to
do
do
the
you've
one
got to
at a time.
do an even number of open-faced sandwiches.
Yep. Wow, that really elevates. That fucking elevates Lunchables so high when you say open face sandwiches. Do you have the open face sandwich turkey and cheddar Lunchable? It'd be like our turkey. It'd be like golden turkey and cheddar open face Lunchable. Dude, they're not using the right marketing for our generation. They
That's
could
true.
be. I mean, we don't even have to because I'll still buy Lunchables anyway. But they could like upscale them a little bit and really
Yeah.
maybe use
Call them open-faced sandwiches.
open face.
Then it's artisan.
But it's in the same font as like the Lunchable stuff in the same package.
And instead of cheddar, have like Gouda or something, some like fashionable
Oh
cheese.
my
God damn it.
man, I'm getting such a nostalgia rush talking
Yeah.
about Lunchables.
You know what
Oh,
I had the other day was a Capri Sun.
Oh, dude.
oh my
These
god.
ones are amazing.
Well, the funny part was I was at my barber, and it's one of these like hipster Portland places, and they offer you like you can have an assortment of like hard liquors, or you can have a beer while you have your haircut, or you can get a fucking Capri Sun. And so I opted for the Capri Sun.
One thing to note about Capri Sun, they've gone all natural, dude. Did you notice that on the packaging? I don't know if you read that. They're all like, well, they have an organic variant of Capri Sun now. I've noticed it in supermarkets. I don't know which one I'm sure the hipster Portland. I'm sure it was the organic variant, but no, dude, the good old fruit punch or whatever it is, Capri Sun. Like, how do you beat it, dude? It's so refreshing. It's a great beverage.
It is definitely, I would say, the preferred post-soccer game drink.
Yes.
As a kid.
Oh yeah. As
opposed to like Sunny Delight. Sunny Delight has been
Sunny
that
Delight
same.
It's the texture of motor oil. Sunny Delight, literally. Have you ever poured Sunny Delight in a glass and looked at it? And if that was black, that is the same shit if you were doing an oil change in your car that comes out that you put into the fucking pan.
Well,
I'm not saying that I don't enjoy some Sunny Delight. I drank it, dude. I drank it growing up.
No, I drank it too,
swear to God,
but
that shit is
when you
so
like
thick.
when you say that Capri Sun, has gone natural and stuff, like when was the last time you saw Sunny D update their formula?
That's
Never.
a great point. No, it's
Never,
not.
because it's the same exact garbage as it was 20 years ago.
It is. They haven't touched it.
Whoa.
Someone in chat, Sunny D and vodka, and then Craig has
Oh,
okay, you stop.
Oh, that's
Oh
gross.
my god, that sounds. I'm gonna vomit, Seth.
I can just picture the faces people have at the. I know several people who are very passionate about Sunny D, and
Really?
I just would love to hear them like say that.
Honestly, the best tip I could ever give for Sunny D growing up, because when I lived in South America, for some there's certain things you could, most things you couldn't get, and certain things you could only get in abundance, because like I feel like they only got certain things shipped to that part of the country, and they had Sunny D in massive quantities, like everywhere. Everyone drank Sunny D. It was everywhere. Like that was the drink, because they didn't have any like fresh orange juice or anything like that. I mean, you could make that because it was a tropical climate. But so we would drink so much Sunny D. But the trick with Sunny D, with how thick it is you fill up a glass with a bunch of ice. Okay, you get some ice in that glass, and then you pour the Sunny D. You don't pour it to the top. Man, I had to fucking stretch for this. And then you let it melt a little bit, and it starts to dilute. Obviously, you could just add water off the bat, but it gets nice and chilled. Those ice cubes start melting, and it's a little less thick on the palate. And a nice chilled Sunny D, man, with like 4 or 5 ice cubes. Oh, on a nice hot day. That's how you enjoy it the
Oh
most.
yeah.
Man. So delicious. But I mean, again, I say delicious, and I also disgusting. It's one of the few beverages I've ever had that I'm simultaneously enjoying it and also repulsed by it, because I'm like, this must be cancer or something. This is oil. Like, how is it so thick?
I was gonna
Like,
say, I
what
think
are
we
the
were
ratios
talking
that
about
they're using?
we were talking about Lunchables, and you saying you weren't sure if you just liked them because of the nostalgia.
Nostalgia.
No, I don't. I think Lunchables are actually fine, but Sunny D, you definitely only like because you drank it as a kid. It is not objectively a good product.
To be fair, I haven't. I've even tried it as an adult. Really, I can't remember. Like, I don't buy it.
That's
I don't
because you're an
ever
adult.
tempted. Yeah, it probably is. I really need to do a Sunny D taste test now that I'm, almost 30 years old, and see if it chug Sunny D straight from the bottle. It's just. I think you would actually probably end up in the hospital. I don't think it would close the mucus or whatever, the texture would block your air cavity, dude. Anyway.
I think
right.
brushing your teeth, like being forced to brush your teeth and drink Sunny D right after, is actually an authenticated form of torture in some places.
Yes. Wow, we've really these food questions and drink questions, man. All right, so let's go to Trent here, who writes via email real quick. Hey fellas, what's one thing you would cook for a date if you were forced to? In other words, your best dish. And then he said, another question is, what country do you want to visit before you pass into a dead soul?
Oh.
Anywho, looking forward to the cast. So 2 questions.
Sent from my iPhone.
Oh, yes. It does say
That make it
Change your fucking signature, dude. Come on.
No, dude. He wants everybody. Dude, no. Listen, dude. It's still
Sent
prestigious
from my
to have an
superior
iPhone
device.
Yeah, nowadays, dude. It's still prestigious.
You got what you wanted, Trent.
I don't know that you read the first one exactly as it was written.
Did I not?
As I see, what is the one thing you would cook for a date if you were forced to?
If you were forced,
to.
So that's TOO at the end. So he's saying like,
right.
What is the one thing you would cook for a date if you were forced as well? Which implies that he is being perhaps forced to cook for a date, and he is asking if we were also forced, what would we cook?
Well, we can only assume that the person being forced also is the date. So if the date's being forced, like maybe forced to eat it, like to eat your food. So, and then in other words, your best dish. That's just a period at the end. Like that seems so just blatant. Like there's
honestly.
Nothing...
Can I say something to you, Katie? If you let's say you meet some saucy chica, right? On Tinder here.
Okay.
You could do a favor. I mean, I don't know. Have you ever made scratch-made pizza? It's not hard. It's very simple. But have you ever made like a dough, done the whole thing out? Okay, you have. Okay.
But go ahead, but I've thought of like I already have a perfect answer.
Oh, sorry. Never mind. Okay, no, go ahead. I want to hear what your perfect answer is for your dish.
The go-to thing, like the easiest thing to make that somehow turns out to be the most delicious is a good casserole. Like a good chicken casserole. It is so easy.
Okay. No, listen, Katie. This is
because all you do.
You're gonna serve a casserole on a date dinner?
No, you don't understand.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna hear you out.
I will not be ridiculed over this.
Dude. I'm gonna hear you out.
All you do for a casserole.
It sounds like you're taking your date to your grandmother's house.
No.
Nothing turns up the romance like a nice casserole.
Listen, this casserole.
I can't think of a less sexy word than casserole to even.
That's the thing. You're just thinking about the word. Take the word away.
That's what I'm saying. But that's
on your plate.
That's why we're trying to help you, because I'll be the first to say casseroles are usually delicious, but don't call it a casserole. You need a more marketable term when you bring this young lady to your residence. You need a better name for what you're making.
Like honey, chicken. I'm making a chicken dish.
Chicken and biscuits or something. Chicken dish.
Just be more descriptive with what it actually is. Like casserole is just like I'm mixing a bunch of stuff together.
Yeah, it can be anything. Yeah. Okay, so what's your go-to? So when you say casserole, like, what's your go-to? Recipe or is just?
You put in some chicken. You put in some put in some chicken sauce, you put in some broccoli, and various other things. It's been a long time since I made one, so it's not fresh in my mind. But you put all that together, and then you take some Lay's potato chips. You crunch those up.
Oh
And
my
What?
oh yeah,
I know where he's going with this, with the
Put that
crispy
shit
crust
in the
on
oven.
top. But
oh yeah. Put some pasta in there too. Put some nice.
okay, this is
what is
turning
that shit
into
called?
oh boy.
So I looked
Listen.
on thesaurus.com to
For-
synonyms for casserole. And
Oh, thank you.
casserole, that these are just synonyms for dish consisting of a combination of cooked food. And actually, some of your choices are probably not better than casserole. We have goulash, which I don't know. It's not probably not what I would use. You know, you have stew, not a super sexy word. For some reason, they have meat pie as a synonym for casserole. So that's a little bit sensual. Maybe that works. And you always have stroganoff. That's you know.
Oh no!
So,
I feel like
know,
that could work.
You've got some options.
I guess stroganoff is a little bit more.
Stroganoff could probably.
Katie's then you're fucked the moment you bring out a Lay's chip bag. I'm just saying.
Oh, but you have you had it though? Have you tried it though?
I have had casseroles with like the chip thing on the top as the crust. No, it's I feel you.
Not chips, like proper breadcrumbs, but yeah.
No, you could if you grind up those Lay's chips on top, man. No,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
with them. I'm with them.
Delicious.
Can be done.
That
Also,
can be kind of
cornflakes can be good,
your
too.
secret ingredient. You can pull that out at the end, and I bet you thought I was like a greasy nerd who just eats chips, but this is actually the secret. The secret
Yeah,
ingredient.
fucking Cheetos.
This is the secret ingredient for my meat pie.
Is that Doritos?
Wow.
Maybe that's how you make casserole a little sexier word. You'd call it like like Doritos casserole,
Doritos casserole.
where it sounds.
think if you
Oh.
tell your date you're making her Doritos casserole, it's gonna be a real short night.
I'm making you
Actually,
Doritos
that's true.
stroganoff.
I'm making Doritos stroganoff. That does actually have a little. That's better.
That actually
Making a
that actually
Doritos
sounds,
meat pie.
Doritos
It's-
stroganoff actually sounds pretty classy.
I think we found it.
Oh.
Man. That does.
Well, all we've really discovered here is another title for what we're making.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm sure the dish you were gonna make is probably delicious, but
Oh,
you gotta make it a little more intriguing. She's not going to dinner with her grandmother.
Make
Well,
sure
yeah,
to grab
but at the same
the
time,
double
she's
XP
not-
off the bag first, though. That's right. Don't forget the double XP.
Uh,
Dude. All right. Well, Katie, listen, dude. You do you. For me, it's a mix of things. Like, I really like making like homemade pizza is a lot of fun to do. It's easy too. It's fun, especially if you're talking date scenario, so you can do that together. Chicken parm. I saw people in chat talking about that. Chicken parm's always a really good go-to.
Mhm.
Not
Mhm.
complicated, but very, very easy to make and make well. Anything Italian?
Really?
I feel like Italian food really.
Yeah, that's what I was about
Any-
to say. Mine was like capellini or angel
Mhm.
hair, as some people may know it as.
Any pasta is pretty hard to mess up.
Yeah.
Man,
Okay.
Extra Life this year, I'm making casserole for all you guys. Sorry,
Dude, please.
chicken Dorito stroganoff. We're making
Oh, I'm
it.
excited.
No, when you make it for us, just make casserole.
Yeah, because then it'll seem like you're trying to like
Yeah.
get us in bed or something.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
I don't need you to spice it up for me.
Don't sugarcoat it.
Yeah. No, I would love you to make me a
Okay.
casserole, but I think the intentions for you cooking me a dish are pretty clear.
Make her some gamer soup, crushed Doritos in Mountain Dew broth.
Oh
Please,
God.
Oh,
I
that'd
feel
be
like
sick.
that's more of a second date dish.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
oh god. All right. Well, thank you for the questions as always. They have stirred up feelings and memories that none of us knew we had, I think. Or so
I think
that's always
Katie's then just needs to get out of the house, bro.
dude, listen.
Once
Katie's
you
fun.
discover guac, drop some guac in
That's
your
true.
casserole.
That's true. You could add guac to it, dude. I didn't even think about that. Maybe some queso in there too. with the chicken.
Queso casserole. It's already got the alliteration.
Queso casserole. Actually, yeah, I mean queso with chicken. You could make a more Mexican flair. Throw in
Queso?
some.
Wait, hold on.
Actually, Mexican casserole sounds
Casserole.
delicious. I'm so hungry right now.
I know. Why are we?
Speaking
Why are we
you
still casting? I need to eat food.
like,
Maybe
no,
I
I'm
can
gonna say,
say.
listen, babe, I'm gonna make you some CQC, some casserole queso chicken, some chicken queso casserole.
There you go.
Really? Are you
That's
calling
better.
her? Are you calling her babe on the first date?
Well, yeah. Hold on. Are you?
Okay?
This is the first date.
Well, okay, you caught me. You caught me. I'm probably
Wait.
not gonna do
Is
No,
this
let's
something
not
you
get
do
ahead of
normally? Because
ourselves.
we need to change that habit. If
Yeah,
that's
I was
No, I'm
gonna
not
say
gonna.
maybe.
No, okay. Honestly, this is me being completely genuine. I said babe for comedic effect.
okay. All right.
Okay.
I believe
We'll
you.
most
Alright.
definitely say their name.
I believe you. I'm
Okay.
just can't be too certain. We've
It's-
got to make sure that
Sounds
we groom you.
Especially
rough.
with the subject you're working with right now, this sheltered man-child.
no. I wouldn't say man-child. I would say sheltered, but I don't know if I would say man-child. We all listen. Hey, we all have to experience things on different schedules. I'm just glad that we are able to help foster you and your, experiences. Like, we can give you some feedback here and there and have you try things. And
Okay.
I would
Let's
say this
just-
podcast is really a mentoring show.
Let's just link a Mexican casserole with roasted corn
Oh.
peppers, and I want nothing more than this right now.
Oh my God, that looks incredible.
I wish I could get this delivered to me right.
God, looks amazing.
Maybe
All right,
maybe
well,
Cheesecake Factory make.
I mean, their menu is the
They have
size
a
of
fucking warm
a
piece of a menu.
Bible.
You think I'm joking? I'm actually not joking.
Dude,
No.
the person
I
that
may
wrote
go
this
find
recipe,
this.
Probably have.
the author of this recipe is posting memes in between the recipe. This is perfect.
Oh my God, that's
That
is a
that's
dish
the
for
perfect
gamers.
that's the perfect dish for your first date, because
That
your
is
date's gonna
perfect.
love memes.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, they had to swipe right on that bio that Hardballers
yeah,
set
that-
for you.
Yeah.
And the final instruction on this casserole, it says the last couple sentences says, "Oh, and hey, guacamole on top is not optional.
Oh
You
my
must,
God,
you
this
must,
is-
you must."
Wow.
This
the
is a
stars
fucking
have
sign.
aligned.
This is a sign, dude. It's telling. Okay,
I don't know I
Memes,
don't know what you do without this
Mexican-
podcast. Really,
dude.
who sets you up?
Dude, you're.
You got me.
Next-
There's no greater influence I'd rather have in my life than this podcast.
Listen, dude. You're the next date you have, or whatever the next person that you get together with. You cook in this casserole. You follow these. I feel like you're in. I feel like that's going to be like a lifelong relationship. I think
And you
it's
know
like-
what? You're actually like hedging, because if it's not a good date, you come out of it and you're like, hey, at least like that guacamole was fantastic.
That's true. And that casserole, you still get the casserole. You're not going
Yeah.
to eat the whole casserole.
Yeah,
Okay,
especially
okay,
if you have the date at your house where you get to keep the casserole, just like that's an insurance
Hmm.
policy. Even if it's a bad date, you've got casserole.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a win at the end.
It's a win, no matter what happens.
You know what? Just as I said, this podcast was a great influence. I think that was a pretty good review of the cast. Let's hear.
Oh,
Another
what a
one.
segue, dude.
Oh,
They
podcast
grow
review
up.
segue.
They grow up so fast. Alex, dude, just take the whole. Dude, this is Katie's in. You know what? I'm so proud.
I don't know where to begin with this, man.
I don't either. So this is all you, baby.
Oh.
Good luck.
And the thing is, this is okay. So this review comes from I'm not familiar with.
Before we
the-
feature the review, maybe you want
Oh yeah. Where can they?
to.
How can they
Oh,
do
that's
this?
right. Okay, so at the end of every week, we always choose a review of the podcast that's submitted from our lovely fans. That includes even you, Robert, listening now. So what you can do, you can go on iTunes, find KBMOD, the KBMOD podcast, to post a review. You can say anything you want. You can tell us anything that's on your mind. It can be witty, it can be clever, it can be ramblings. It doesn't matter. There's just one prerequisite you have to fulfill, and that's give us 5 stars. It's a very simple task to accomplish, but we really sincerely hope you do it. And who knows, you might even get featured on the podcast if you leave a 5-star review. And that's exactly what we've got here today from that Captain.
believe
It's
that's
CPT.
Captain,
Yeah.
Okay. It's CPT C. Hodes.
Yeah.
So Captain Charlie Hodes.
Yeah, Captain. Well, I think he prefers Charles, but yeah, probably it's Charles Hodes.
Okay.
But who knows? Might be
I
Charlie.
mean, he is a captain.
That's true.
Don't act like you know the man. Address him
Yeah.
formally.
Yeah, that's right.
Captain's-
Captain Charles Hodes.
I think I'll just stick it with C. Hodes just to be safe.
Mm.
The
That's-
title of
that's
his
safe.
review. Title of his review is Semper Fi,
Mm.
and it appears to have been written in Morse code.
Yes, definitely that is Morse code.
And
I
what's
wish-
even
can
worse
we-
about this is that in the doc, this is a picture.
You cannot
the
actually
screen grab.
copy it. So
No, so
So this is
have
actually the
to-
problem here is in iTunes. You cannot copy
Yes.
and paste the text from reviews. So
it's terrible.
I was not in a place where I was willing to type all of this Morse code into a Morse code translator. So,
Exactly.
Mm.
I mean, it is, and it's a lengthy review, I think.
It's very
Oh.
lengthy. You know what's amazing about this is that this could be a cry for help. This could be CIA leaked information. This could be
this could
about
be
Russia's
classified
ties
stuff.
to Trump. And it's so yeah, we can't even
This could be like an expose, and we wouldn't
Yeah.
know.
don't know.
These could be Trump's launch codes.
It could be.
Ooh.
They could be. It could
Well-
be Trump's launch codes.
So there
And-
really is no way we can translate this.
Well, I mean, we could sit here and we could do it.
We could transcribe it if we
could
really
transcribe
wanted to, but I mean,
if I
it's
wanted to sit here.
this is
but
this
it's
is what
fine.
this is like a 20-line review. This is like hitting the iTunes the limit on review length.
Yeah. It's
So you can't like copy. You said you can't copy paste it.
Yeah, no, in
No.
iTunes, I don't know why, but you cannot copy
Oh.
paste review text in iTunes.
exactly.
a
Brad put it in
world.
the chat here.
I mean, if someone wants to do us a favor and transcribe this
Feel
Morse
free.
code, I mean, actually, maybe don't, because like I don't. You might actually be breaking the law, depending on
We
what
don't
this says. We don't know. So.
I don't know.
I would say, without a lawyer present, maybe it's in your best interest not to decode this.
Exactly.
And
We don't.
maybe
It
not.
could be totally benign. Could be extremely dangerous. It's hard to know. But coming from a captain, I'm imagining it's probably pretty serious.
And that's the thing with Morse code too. Is like as I sit here and look at it, I can't tell anything about what it is. Like how when you're reading languages you don't understand, sometimes you
Yeah.
can get hints at what the
Yeah.
content is, or like kind of like at least the demeanor or the tone. Here,
Nothing.
literally nothing. I have no idea what this says.
No.
But you know what? If anything proves to you that you can get your review featured on this cast, literally someone that just wrote in Morse code has just been featured. So I think our threshold is fairly low. But we
is.
do appreciate. I mean, if I would absolutely have translated this if I was able to copy paste it. So
Yes. Same. So
I mean, we generally
Um,
encourage reviews in English, but look, not a hard and fast requirement to be featured, as you can
nope,
tell.
be flexible. So yeah, there you go. Episode 265 is in the bag, and it was good. Lots of good discussion tonight. Lots of triggers were had, whether it's guacamole or Call of Duty or Steam Greenlight. Oh, we had a bit of everything, but
Just can't wait for you. That could be
yeah.
that.
can't wait till he comes back and he's like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. And Brandon will I think Brandon his head will explode. I think that's what's going to happen.
If it was anything other than guacamole, I might be concerned that we've sort of upsold it a little bit too much. But no,
Mhm.
like I mean, I want guacamole really badly right now.
Yeah.
I mean, not gonna lie, David. Like nothing's gonna surprise me if you fucking hate it. I would be like, whatever. Like, I just would not be surprised at this point.
I mean, look,
Alright.
you had a passion for fondue fries, so if guac doesn't do it for you, then we've lost hope.
Then we're done.
I
Okay.
mean, probably.
Well, I only hope. I mean, it's kind of out of my control whether or not I like it. I mean,
Well,
know about that.
we'll see. I think you'll like it. We'll see though.
we'll see.
But let's cross that bridge if we come to it. Just
Yeah.
Brandon's gonna literally need counseling, so let's cross that bridge before we get to it. If you, don't
you
like
just
it.
focus on finding yourself some nice, good guacamole. start
Yeah.
with. I don't want to come back and hear that you got like some week old guacamole from the
Oh.
refrigerated section.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, heavens no.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up. Like I said, thanks again for listening, guys. Check out kbmod.com for those articles, some of those reviews and previews of the Conan Exile game. Of course, also build guides, and use the multi-stream as well for all of your multiple Twitch streaming needs. You can follow Volition on Twitter. I almost said at Twitter. You can follow Volition on Twitter at VOL1TION. You can follow Katie Zen at KatieZen18. Brad is at Hutchison15. And I am at APL Fisher. And until next time, make sure you're eating that guacamole so you don't disappoint Daddy Brandon. And we'll see you next time. Farewell.
Yeah.